From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation.
Yep.
Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Thank you for waking up early in the morning, TGIF. And you know I usually don't like the rain. I really don't mind the rain. I like it to rain strategically, though. I mean, obviously, if we're having the Hurley in the Morning Charity Golf Open or you have plans, that involve going outdoors, we don't like it to rain when it spoils things. I do like the rain. I know I inherited that. My father used to love to watch the rain, and I do too. And I was so happy, though. I got a little wet this morning, but I was so happy it was raining because, number one, I washed my car this morning, so that was great. Oh, my gosh, the green. My car is a shiny, well-maintained, glossy black, which I love. And for the last couple of days, it has been a hideous. I don't mind green. I'm actually a fan of hunter green. I like the dark green. There are certain shades of green that I'm not a fan of, but I'm not adverse to green. But the green shade on the car, not good. And of course, when I look at it, I almost have a visceral reaction when I see this persistent coat of the pollen. But I washed my car overnight and early this morning, which is always great. And here we are. And I'll tell you what's very nice. Rain today, we'll take it. It's not going to rain for President Trump tomorrow. Great. It's going to rain on Sunday. And for those that have outdoor activities on Monday, no rain. Then it looks like there'll be more rain on Tuesday. So there's some things I have to do tomorrow and on Monday and it's only like a 6% chance of rain tomorrow. So that should be excellent odds. And then there's a 6% chance, I think it was 4 or 6%, very low percentage chance on Monday. But it's like a 60-some% chance. It already happened today. It rained. But a 60-some% chance tomorrow. I'm sorry, not tomorrow, Sunday. And then like a 66% chance of rain on Tuesday. Well. Where to begin? Why don't I begin on this? This is not a see I told you so moment, although we do that with great regularity. It's kind of scary, our track record. You might not remember the date, but I do, because I keep a tickler file on stuff like this so that I can come back later and tell you, well, what do you know? So on March 21st, I don't remember what day of the week that was, but I'm going to look it up. And there's a reason I want to look it up. March 21st was a Thursday. So Friday, March 22nd, day before Lauren's birthday, Lauren Hurley, Lauriello, I came in and I said, well, look at this. Illegals rioting, assaulting police officers, Border Patrol officers and such, tearing down razor wire and other barricades, breaking in to the country. And I said some scumbag Democrat judge will drop all the charges against these 211 people. And I'm sure Democrats at the time said, there he is again. All this guy does is lie. There's no way. Come on, they assaulted people. They broke things. They broke into the country. No way the charges are going to be dismissed. Well, they were. Yesterday, a Democrat-elected judge dismissed 211 cases. And you want to hear something amazing? Here's the remedy. What a crooked ruling, but here's the remedy. they basically get their summons that in like 7 years they have to report to a hearing of some kind. So they're in. They're in. In like Flynn. And it is a magical I told you so moment presented by the Hurley in the Morning program. How did I know? How did I know they would find a way to dismiss all 211 of these cases? I'll tell you, I'm not sick of winning, but it's getting old. It's getting so old. So these criminals that broke into our country are free. But President Trump will be in a New York courtroom today. And I'll tell you, the more that I review the testimony of Stormy Daniels, the more flat out angry I become. Now, I can't say to his credit because this Juan Merchan is an absolute jackass. You just look at him. Look at that picture they flash up, and you just look at a smacked horse's ass. What's the other woman's name that wanted to testify? I can't think of it now. I knew it a second ago. That's how insignificant these people are to me. I can't remember her name, but she's not going to be able to testify. This trial is 4 weeks old today. Not one crime has been introduced. This truly is the most abominable, embarrassing, disgraceful trials in American history. The worst. So just understand, these Democrats let criminals go, and they take our president and charge him, which really makes them Putin, anybody you want to pick, any despot. I don't want to say Hitler because I sort of have a doctrine that when you invoke Hitler, you lose. But every despotic, Stalin, Putin, or as some in the Valley Girl crowd would say, Putin. God, I hear the moment I hear, let's go to this very bright analyst now. Yes, well, you know, there's Putin. I go, oh, do you know I tune out? Then it just becomes wah, wah, wah. When I hear Putin, no. Then I know all kinds of other crazy things will transpire. Because a serious person doesn't say Putin. You've heard it. Come on. And if you haven't, you will. Oh, we have a lot to do today. I'll report a little bit later. I might mention it this hour, certainly by next hour. And next hour will star your phone calls, 609-407-1450. We'll open the phone lines up a little over 45 minutes from now. Can't wait for that. And then for the final 2 hours of the program, and we're going to need it, Atlantic City Councilman at Large George Tibbett, Dateline Atlantic City. I will tell you everything that I have learned relative to what the Atlantic City Board of Education is doing. Now, you have to understand, Marty and LaQuetta Small control almost everyone on that board. There's a guy named Mayfield Torres. He's not controlled. And maybe one other. This board is completely controlled. If you want to know why, and I get hit with this question maybe more than anything over the past month. Harry, you would know the answer to this. Harry, I got to know. Harry, you got to tell me. I mean, any wind up to then what follows, you know, I've heard. Like, I can't believe this. How can that woman still be in the job? Well, I said, well, very simple. The Board of Education has refused to do its job on purpose. Shea Steele is a Marty and Laquetta Small puppet. His wife has a job in the school district. He has a job in the fire department. Other family members of Shea Steele have taxpayer-paid positions. And we have right now, tomorrow morning I'm going to do a standalone article about this. I've opened up the subject today in an article that I filed about an hour and 17 minutes ago. And it is about the doctrine of necessity. Now, the doctrine of necessity is something that you should use on the rarest occasions. The Atlantic City Board of Education, because almost the entire board, and I'm going to call it corruption, because it is very corrupt. They all have relatives and conflicts within the district, so they can't vote on things like the annual budget. It's one of the most important things you do as a board member, is to evaluate the budget, vote on the budget, vote on things like suspending the superintendent of public schools, who is criminally charged with serious child abuse charges. And because they are so conflicted, they have to have a special meeting to vote on the doctrine of necessity, which means if you invoke that, you are saying this is a matter that's so important that we overlook your conflict of interest and you have the authority to vote. It should only be used in the rarest of incidences. And it appears that the Atlantic City Board of Education, I can't prove this because there's like 790 some districts or something, 800 and some districts around the state. So I can't say for sure, but it appears, John Devlin agrees with this as well. We had a brief conversation about it last night. Doctrine of necessity again. So they probably lead the entire state in utilizing the doctrine of necessity. And what has it been, a month? A month later, an educator who was charged criminally with multiple counts of child abuse is still showing up for work. The principal is not, but the superintendent is. It's a disgrace. I believe it is against New Jersey law. And you might want to take a look at a piece that I filed at about 5 o'clock this morning to catch up. I'll talk about it, though, more as the program progresses, and certainly over the final 2 hours of today's program with Councilman Tibbet. We'll be back. Don't go away. Much more to report because no one else does what we do. Year 32, quickly coming to a close. July 1st will mark 32 years. 32 years together. It just doesn't even seem possible that much time has transpired. That's half my life. Literally half my life doing this here with you. What a privilege. What a blessing.
Mark Levin.
If I had to sum up Joe Biden, I'd say he's a lowlife. He's always been a lowlife. Anything for power. He has no real world experience. He gets elected when he's 29, sworn in when he's 30. He's immediately part of the segregationist, racist wing of the Democrat Party. Now he's part of the Marxist, fascistic wing of the Democrat Party. Not all that far apart if you give it really serious thought. So he's going to run a line.
Mark Levin on South Jersey's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Fox News commentary.
In an effort to combat theft, California lawmakers consider a bill to remove self-checkout lanes. Here's an idea: actually prosecute thugs instead. I'm Tommy Lahren. More next.
Hi, I'm Ron Kraszewski, Chairman and CEO of Stifel. Financial advisors, let's face it, if you're not growing your practice, you're losing market share. Stifel is a growing, entrepreneurial, advisor-centric firm built for successful advisors like you. There's a reason why 148 financial advisors joined Stifel last year. Come join us and find out why Stifel is the firm where success meets success. Visit www.choosestifel.com.
Stifel Nicholas and Company Incorporated, member SIPC and NYSE.
Retail theft is a nationwide problem, but it's noticeably worse in blue areas, and it doesn't take Sherlock Holmes to figure out why. You take the looting passed off as justice in 2020 and add in felon coddling policies, you get a shoplifter's paradise. But instead of striking to the core of the real problem, lawlessness, California lawmakers are instead considering a bill to remove self-checkout lanes from grocers and certain other retailers. Some stipulations are that no more than 2 self-checkout lanes be assigned to one employee, and that employee must have no other duties beyond babysitting those stations. That's a great idea and all, but if this is to cut down on theft, that's not going to do the trick. If someone decides to steal anyway and is not given any consequences for it, what difference does it make how many employees you have watching? Law and order is the answer, not removing self-checkout lanes for the rest of us. I'm Tommy Lahren, and you can watch my show, Tommy Lahren is Fearless, at Outkick.com.
You're waking up with Hurley in the morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Hurley in the morning.
If you really want to know what's happening in Atlantic City, it's Harry Hurley every single morning.
Yep.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
I guess when you put things in perspective, you know, things can always be worse. A friend of mine once said, it can't get any worse. And I reminded my friend, oh no, it can always get worse. It doesn't matter how bad you think something is or how bad things are. Just remember, it can get better, which is, I'm an optimist, so I look at it that way, but don't ever sell short. It can get worse. So I know that I have what I think is one of the most outrageous cable bills in American history. And look, I have what I have because I'm in the communications business. I have old-fashioned analog hard lines. I have 2 of those because you never know. If digital goes down, cell goes down, have analog. Give you an example. When Superstorm Sandy hit, we did lose the cellular. You know, you're at the mercy of the towers and their whole apparatus, and anything weather-wise, you know, can cause interruption. But the analog lines did not go down. And I remember I made appearances over the analog line. So I'm going to probably always keep that. I don't even bother to look because I'm keeping it regardless. But that's on the bill. I have 2 of those, 2 different numbers, one for fax and one for broadcasting. Not so much. We don't really use it. I don't even pick it up. It has like an answering machine. I don't even look at it. But we have it, and it rings a lot. I'll tell you that. Ugh. I guess when people try to look me up to call me, that number pops up. It rings all damn day. Pops up on the TV set. It's. I told Margie I want to just throw those phone numbers out the window, but I keep them. I'm going to call it the doctrine of necessity. I keep them. I love movies, so I do have, I think, almost every pay channel. And I occasionally, maybe even more than occasionally, I actually looked. You know what I have to get? And they told me I would get them. When we went to the new boxes, they didn't transfer all the movies that I had paid for. There was probably hundreds of them. Never got them. So kind of had to start all over again. And I looked the other day. I have 200. Margie, are you awake? I have 278 movies. Now, that doesn't even include that I have hundreds of DVDs, which I'm not throwing away. I keep a DVD player. I haven't watched a DVD in a while, but I'm keeping them because vinyl came back. Everything comes back. If we didn't throw out these VHS tapes, we had every one of the vintage Disney VHS tapes. Some of them are worth a bloody fortune right now. So I get accused of this. I don't want to throw anything away. Probably a byproduct of losing everything, having nothing when your house burns down to the ground, that I don't want to throw stuff out. Like I wanted to keep all those Toy Story toys, Buzz Lightyear and Woody and Slinky the dog and all that stuff. The vintage stuff, that's all worth a fortune now. Keep your stuff. If you listen to anything I ever tell you, keep your stuff. Don't listen to anybody tell you that we're going to declutter and throw it away, get a storage shed, take one room of your house, make it a storage room. You know, if you have attic or basement storage, I'm telling you, if you listen to anything I've ever said for 32 years, keep your stuff. I know this is relatable, that you threw stuff away, that you kick yourself. I'll have to give you another example, and I know I didn't throw them away. My Nike Oregon Waffle training shoes from the 1970s. And then I have another pair called Nike Marathoners and some other old sneakers. They're worth a fortune. Used. Somebody's just texting me like it's the end of the world. Stop it. Because I have this watch now. It's my watch. It's my phone. It goes absolutely bananas. So I'm just telling you, keep your stuff. When we come back, more important news. I have a comment about the Trump New York City trial because it is a matter of reversible error at this point. It's a disaster. Juan Merchan, I believe, is corrupt. And if he's not corrupt, he's a horrible judge. And I believe he is clearly a biased Democrat judge. His rulings are terrible. What he's allowed to go on in the courtroom, an absolute abomination. And we all knew what I'm about to share with you after that. But now any and all doubt has been removed. That'll be the second item that we're going to cover right after this.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Thank you, Harry Hurley. 31 minutes past the hour. I have 3 stories that you can follow on our WPG Talk Radio 95.5 app. Yes, they did it again. The Atlantic City Board of Education failed once again to suspend Superintendent LaQuetta Small. Remember, when you're criminally charged with child abuse charges, you can't stay. Just remember that. And are they about to reject their own expert advice? And also, an iconic Margate nightclub is about to open.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Not a very nice weather day today. It's already pretty wet out there thanks to overnight rain, and we'll see additional periods of light rain and drizzle throughout this morning and this afternoon. Staying cloudy, breezy, and cool. Temperature this afternoon only 52. Showers wrap up this evening, drying out and clearing out after midnight, low 46. Tomorrow, partly sunny and dry during the day, high improves to 60. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. For complete contest rules, visit WPGTalkRadio.com. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
Egg Harbor Township, Ocean City, Goshen, Cape May.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Thank you. 36 minutes past the hour. Quick sidebar, and then I'll get to the Trump trial. I could just filibuster on the Trump trial. So I'm just going to make a very brief comment on that. Then I'm going to move on to something that will remove any and all doubt of something that is happening. And I'm forgetting which major university, but a major university president has just resigned. For some reason, I want to say Cornell, but I might not be right. But remember, I mean, there was awful anti-Semitism at Cornell. I'll figure that out before the end of the hour. But let me go to my sidebar. I've been meaning to tell you this. Let's see. I tested positive for COVID-19 on April 12th. and it is now May 10th. So almost a month ago. And I guess literally by the calendar, it feels like a full 4 weeks. But I guess it's a day or so shy of a full month. But anyhow. And I knew this was happening, but I just keep compartmentalizing it. And I wanted to mention this to you. The first time 2 years ago was in June of 2022. I never lost taste. I never lost smell. So a lot of people do with COVID-19. And then I think it also matters exactly what strain and how much of what's called a viral load do you get. You know, you can have a milder case and not have that, or so whatever. I didn't have any of that 2 years ago. However, I remember, but I thought maybe it was just because I was congested. If you're congested, you can't taste well if you can't smell. Not sure if you probably already know that, but it's true though. So maybe I was just like dismissing it. But a couple of things that I really liked tasted a little different. Not totally bland where I had lost my taste. But here was the other thing, and that's gone. Full taste, back, overload, all good. Here's something that has happened to me, though, and I'm not aware. You're only aware of what you're aware of. I cannot smell my deodorant. I've been using the same deodorant for many, many years, and I love the smell of it. And Margie always tells me how nice I smell. And I stopped wearing cologne, which I used to love, because like everything else that I love, they discontinue it. And I just haven't found one that I like. And if I don't like the smell of a cologne, I just don't even want to have, I don't want to wear it. So again, I had this wonderful cologne that I wore for years and years. Oh, and always got tremendous compliments. Oh, you smell so good. Thank you. Thank you. So I haven't worn cologne in years. So I really like the smell of my deodorant. So don't be shy. If I walk by, feel free to say, my, Harry, you smell really good. Because I can't right now, I can't tell. I actually smell nothing. So this morning when I was putting my deodorant on, before I did, took off the cap, and I put it right under my nose, and I tried to smell it. This morning I could barely smell a little bit of it, but not really. So I hope that comes back, because I really like that. But here's the weird thing. Here's another thing. I use the same soap that I've been using for many, many years. I can't smell my soap. I said, Margie, I don't know I know what's going on. It's COVID-19. I said, but I can't smell my soap. And I can't smell my deodorant. But here's the crazy part. I use a different soap in the shower than I do when if I wash my hands in the kitchen or wash my hands at our master bathroom sink. So there, and I love it. And my daughter Kristen washed her hands and she loved it and she bought it. Margie introduced us to this Mrs. Myers, and it's wonderful. And they have a liquid hand soap in many, many different, flavors, scents. So many different scents. Well, we use the orange clove. And I'm telling you, it is wonderful. So, thankfully, and don't tell me what this means. I guess it's just certain scents have not been affected by the COVID-19. I can smell the orange clove. I think it's not quite what I remember. I mean, the smell was the same. It just seems a little less that I smell it. But I smell it really good, so I'm not complaining about that. You know, I would call that almost back to normal. But I cannot smell the soap that I take a shower with. I mean, this COVID-19 is insane. Margie threw me a lifeline, but I already know it's orange clove. She's on delay like you are, a little bit of a delay. Program is almost in real time, but it's a little bit behind, just a little bit. So there you have it. My shower soap, notice I haven't told you what my shower soap is, and I didn't tell you what my deodorant is, but they both smell wonderful. And I no longer, that's a month now. I hope it's not for the rest of my life, but it could be. A friend of mine told me it took him like a year or more than a year to be able to taste again. Then he, you know, because this is a guy that really loves food, and if you can't taste it, then really it becomes utility where you're just eating to live, to survive. You can't taste anything. Thank God that didn't happen. Although I do think it happened a little bit. Nothing's tasting different, but just not quite. Maybe it's, you know, maybe it's not true, and I just think it is, but just I noticed a little bit while I had it. I don't notice it now. And I'm pretty much a creature of habit, so I eat a lot of the same things, you know, fairly repeatable often. But I don't like this loss of smell thing. And I haven't really bird dogged it to even figure out if it's other things too. Like why is that? I don't think I found the only two things. I think I found two of the things. But the orange clove still smells delightful. All right, that's my sidebar. All right, when we come back, I've got two important topics to broach with you on the Hurley in the Morning program.
Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the Morning.
Honesty and transparency, you know, it's not afraid to get down and dirty and really just tell me the truth.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're listening to Hurley in the Morning on South Jersey's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 95.5, and the WPG Talk Radio app. Hurley in the Morning.
It's breaking news that I can trust.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Hey, thank you. 49 minutes past the hour on the Hurley in the Morning program. So the Trump trial, simply put, is now a matter of reversible error, meaning the judge has fatally destroyed the case. He didn't want to reverse himself, because if he had accepted the motion to dismiss or the mistrial, he would have been calling a mistrial on himself. This guy is a disgrace. His daughter is a Democrat political operative. He's a contributor to Joe Biden himself. He was required to recuse himself, and he didn't, which proves he wanted to be on this case. Something's got to be done about him. Also, did you hear that Stormy Daniels, I'll call this the X-Files portion of the program, paranormal activity? Stormy Daniels says that she can talk to dead people. Woo. We got that. We've got that going for us now. Also, we knew it. We told you we knew it, that it was all coordinated. Any and all doubt has now been removed. There was, and it's been uncovered, it's been discovered, I should say. There is a playbook, literally a playbook, for the nationwide campus unrest that has been going on. It's a strategy document for the National Students for Justice in Palestine, NSJP. It's the United States' largest pro-Palestinian college campus group. They called for this intifada at colleges across the country. They should all be arrested for the domestic terrorists that they are. But you can see the difference now. The Democrats' Independence Day, that they want to try to charge Trump with all that, but they can't because the evidence proves he didn't do anything wrong, and actually ask people to not do anything wrong. That if you go to the Capitol, you go so peacefully. So they don't want to charge domestic terrorists. They want to invent domestic terrorists. So this document has been discovered, and it's a window in to this whole completely manufactured. We told you all along, look at how old these people are. I mean, 80% of them were not students. At every step in this process, the National Students for Justice in Palestine was right there, ginning it up, behind it all. If you want to know, hey, where'd all these signs come from? Hey, they all got brand new tents. Hey, look at this. Wow. They make it clear that they are part of a global, quote, unity intifada. We allow people who hate America. Now, keep in mind, chanting death to America and all these things that they did, death to Israel, and breaking into campuses and taking over areas, none of that is free speech. None of it. They're pro-Hamas anti-Semites, and they should have been arrested. But they don't have time, though, because you got to keep arresting Trump. Great editorial. I shouldn't say op-ed. An opinion-type column in Newsweek titled, Biden withholding aid from Israel sure looks impeachable. And you do have a congressman that is preparing impeachment yet again. You know my take on all this. Do inquiries. Don't do anything over the next 6 months. Don't impeach anyone. Don't do any of that. Bring it all up and just win the election. There's something that you might not be aware of, and I don't expect that you should be. I just, this is my job. So I have to go into these things. And I'm a voracious reader. There's something called the Impoundment Control Act of 1974. So what that did, it governs the control of funds that are appropriated by Congress. Congress appropriated these funds for Israel. Biden is in violation by not providing them to Israel. And why this was done, because there was a belief back in 1974, for obvious reasons, Watergate and all of that, that Congress needed to reassert its power of the purse, and to prevent a president from supplanting their authority and substituting their own funding decisions that are the authority of Congress. So Biden's in violation of that. It's so interesting that Trump was actually impeached because of, I got to say it just for cutesy sake, he was impeached for a perfect phone call with Volodymyr Zelensky. There was nothing criminal. There was nothing impeachable. There were no high crimes and misdemeanors. There was nothing at all. Meanwhile, look what we have with Biden. His failure to protect this country, his willingness to let terrorists into this country, and he wants to do more of that when he starts letting Hamas into America. Don't forget, he didn't screen anybody out of Afghanistan. Who the hell knows? Taliban and anybody else that wanted to get on board those planes. They didn't check anybody out. because he wanted to just be able to say, I said I was going to get everybody out, but he didn't get everybody out. He said we wouldn't leave until every American was out. They're still not out. Nobody's talking about it. We have an American soldier right now that Russia has taken captive of. This Biden's a joke. He's an absolute joke. And good for Benjamin Netanyahu, who said, quote, we will stand alone if necessary. They have to. When Biden said that he would not provide the offensive weapons that Congress has approved, I mean, Israel has long promised an assault on the southern Gaza city of Rafah. And they have to do that because that's where the battalions of Hamas are. And Biden's saying you can't go there? But don't forget, Biden was the same guy that didn't want us to get Osama bin Laden. Obama had to throw him out of the room. Quote, if we have to stand alone, we will stand alone. If we need to, we will fight with our fingernails. But we have much more than fingernails. Netanyahu is a special forces stud muffin. Okay? Biden is a incoherent, poop your pants, nothing burger. He can't tie Netanyahu's shoes. I love that yesterday President Trump said that pro-Biden Jewish Americans, quote, should be ashamed. I've taken that position because it sickens me. Quote, what Biden is doing with respect to Israel is disgraceful. Quote, if any Jewish person voted for Joe Biden, they should be ashamed of themselves. He's totally abandoned Israel, and nobody can believe it. Quote, Biden feels good about it because he did it as a political decision. Quote, you have to do the right decision, not the political decision. But he did a very bad thing. And, of course, he's trying to win Michigan, and he's trying to win Wisconsin, and he's trying to win Minnesota, and therefore, and he's losing all three. God, I didn't even get a chance to share with you. There's more battleground polling. Trump is getting it done. He's winning everywhere. God, I wish tomorrow was November 5th. It would be an absolute electoral landslide and a popular vote landslide. But you can see, I mean, look, they allowed Stormy Daniels to talk about condoms and silky drawers and anything else. I mean, these Democrats, anything is going to go for the next 5-6 months. Your calls are next.
WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ HD3 Millville, a Town Square media station. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes starts now. From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
It is 6 minutes past the hour. Please feel free to check in this hour. It is our only open forum this morning. Let's make it count. 609-407-1450. Whatever you want to talk about, the phone lines will be open for you to participate this hour on the Hurley in the Morning program. Hey, I heard the news mention Democrats criticizing Joe Girallo. I received that garbage email, and I looked at it and I thought, look at these people. They have nothing to say when the situation prior to Girallo actually resulted in a new election. Think about that. You talk about one of the worst things you could ever do is mess up a ballot so bad that a judge orders a new election and you cannot replicate. You know, if it's a presidential election, you have some zombie special election. You cheat the will of the voters. They don't have anything to say when they bungled it like you can't imagine. Joe Girallo, and look, nobody's perfect, so mistakes can happen. I'm not saying he'll never make a mistake, but they did set redundancy and other, checks and balances, because if there's a mistake, we've all done it. We've written things that can't believe it, have typos. You don't see it. But if you have other sets of eyes, multiple sets of eyes, review it. If there's something wrong, chances are if 3 people look at the same thing, 1 out of the 3 at least, if not more, will pick up the mistake. So they've done a really good job making no mistakes. When you couple that Andy Kim case where that paralyzed, you can't do the ballots until you know exactly what the determination of the judge is going to be. So that costs time. So I absolutely defend Joe Girallo, who's done a phenomenal job. They did a terrible job, and now they have the audacity. It's like Biden criticizing Trump on the economy or something. Oh, yeah, you're right. That's really fair criticism. We had 0% inflation, $2 gas, energy independent, net oil exporter, inflation was 0. What else do you want to say? And Biden says, we have the strongest economy in the world. His new thing is world, duh. Everything that ends in a D. There was another word, I forget which one it was, but he ended that with duh. The best economy in the world, duh. Maybe that's, who knows, maybe that's on the teleprompter. They have like duh. Just like he said, pause. 4 more years, pause. Then he had this look like he pooped his pants. Pause. Yes, he really said it. Hey, Democrats criticizing Girallo. That's your candidate that you never say boo about. Oh, I tell you. God, can tomorrow please be Tuesday, November 5th? I hate to do it, however many days that is, 100 and some days, whatever it is. I'll give that up. Can somebody, Stormy Daniels, because you have normal activity prowess, you can talk to the dead and, silky drawers, and you can do it all. Maybe Stormy can make tomorrow, November 5th. Stormy, are you listening? Please. If I need to come to your seance or whatever it is to make tomorrow, November 5th, I'll be there. Welcome to the Hurley in the Morning program. Hi there.
Stormy owes $283,000 and has no intention of paying it.
Actually, I was told, Dan, that she owes President Trump more than $500,000, not $283,000. But keep in mind, she's on the right team, so it's just like Reverend Al. You get harassed, not you, Dan, but out there, you get harassed by the IRS, not Reverend Al. As far as I know, he's got a 7-figure debt. No problem. And I think it's multiple 7 figures. No problem. And you might have some hardworking business and they got you on some deduction that you were entitled to or thought you were entitled to. Next thing you know, you get some bill. They're coming after you. They want to take your house, ruin your life. Reverend Al, no problem. This is, by the way, Dan, this is no joke. The Ninth Circuit Court of Appeals said in a ruling that she has to pay President Trump. But she gets to say in court, yeah, I owe it to him, and I hope I never have to pay it.
What a world that is.
Yeah.
With Sharpton, how easy would it be? You just basically impound his salary at MSDNC.
Or you just go over to MSDNC and you arrest him.
Yeah, but first you get the money, you got to bring it back. They call it claw that back, I guess, and what's going on here? Like today, I don't know. University of Penn right now, they're having a big. The police presence is amazing in Philadelphia. They're coming in with the full gear, and 80. They're saying 66 to 80% are non-students. And Harry, my theory on this is simple: if they're being funded by somebody, find that somebody. Let's say it's Short Soros for a minute. You don't know, but let's say it is. You basically bring the case, and you get those. You put a value on it, denominate it, and they tell George Soros, you owe us $2 billion for all this disruption and everything else. Put a number on it, and if he doesn't pay, just freezes accounts. Yeah,
absolutely. Or
you have all the tools, but it's like Biden. They're gonna put an impeachment on him for this Israel business.
Yeah, I don't want him to do that. All that does, that never works out. It always gives sympathy to the person. Keep the issue alive. Don't do anything. We're 6 months away from winning. That is nothing but trouble if they do that.
And they're gonna link it, and it's a definite link to the controlling of another government, to the $1 billion that he basically said he wasn't going to give unless the prosecutor was fired.
Yeah, that's why I would add it to the actual inquiry that's being done. And you interview witnesses, you keep the issue alive, you issue press releases, you do public hearings that are covered, you get it out there, but don't impeach. It doesn't work. It backfires every single time. The issue is more important than just because they had the votes, they do it. Look, they already impeached Mayorkas, and Chuck Schumer short circuits and says there'll be no trial in the Senate. They have to have a trial. But these lawless slime balls, they don't care.
Everything they do is shaky.
Yeah, why didn't they not have a trial for Trump? The votes were never there. Use the same logic. No, the votes aren't there. We don't have time for this. We're not doing it. No trial. No, that's not what they did. They had the trial for him twice.
Where's the indictment for Schumer for basically inciting the crowd and calling for by name?
He basically called for the assassination of 2 associate justices of the United States Supreme Court by name.
And look what happened.
Yeah.
I mean, how close was Kavanaugh of being the
guns, knives, duct tapes, handcuffs, all kinds, zip ties? Yeah, I would say that Kavanaugh was very close, wouldn't you?
As close as can be. I mean, that was they call doorstep close.
Yeah, he was there. He was out front of the house. Yep.
It's amazing. And what we have to do is with this Marchand business. They have to go as soon as the new administration takes over. Look into all this stuff, especially the daughter and him. The daughter making money directly, and she's unabashed about it. She doesn't care. We make money on this case.
Well, look at this. Look at Stormy Daniels making money off of the case. Look at Michael Cohen. This guy is. I mean, I believe he is going to get absolutely eviscerated on cross-examination. I don't care what he comes up with. Remember, he's going to be testifying to the jury that Trump followed his advice to call this a legal expense. Trump didn't come up with that. His lawyer came up with that. I mean, how is Cohen going to be helpful? A convicted perjurer. They're going to absolutely crush him on cross-examination. I have no doubt about it. And then Marchand actually would be required, when the defense moves for him to dismiss the case, he would be required by law to do that, because there would be nothing in the case. This case is not about his silky drawers. It's not about whether he wore a condom. It's about, did Trump approve the falsification of business records to further another crime? We are 4 weeks into this trial, and this is no spin. Every honest legal analyst has said the same thing. There is no crime that's even been introduced let alone proven in this trial.
Yeah, Harry, and a final, because I know you have other callers, is we have to focus on what monumental thing happened in Florida, because the judge down there knows, there's something bad afoot here. So when the archivist says to Trump, come and get your documents, and then uses that against him with the Justice Department, here's the case. And the Judge Cannon says, let's put this on hold.
Right, and don't forget, it isn't just at the National Archives, which is totally corrupt on behalf of Democrats, because look how they treated Joe Biden, who never should have had. Trump had permission to take any document of his choosing. You can fight about that later, but he was president. He had the authority. Joe Biden, as senator or as VP, had all these documents, tried to blame his staff, but he's the guy that had them in the garage, in his office, at the university. He had them all over the place, and they treat him very, very differently. This is the other thing. It isn't just that the National Archives told Trump, come and get your documents. Jack Smith falsified to the court an order of documents and when they were obtained, and got caught.
Well, Jack Smith, to me, is the devil, because when he went after Arthur Anderson, then he was overturned 9-0 in the Supreme Court.
And McDonald.
But that was there was no bandage or no tourniquet for those 89,000 people, because they lost their jobs.
Yeah, he ruined them. He doesn't care. He's a Klingon. You have to understand. You'll see him in the uniform. Go Google his picture. He's a Klingon. You go. They were separated at birth. You cannot tell the difference.
Take care, Mayor.
Yep.
Good luck. Year 33 will be a great one.
Oh, it has to be. Thank you. Yeah, Jack Smith was overheard saying, Maltz Cho E Chu. He was speaking Klingon, is what I've been told. I can't confirm it, though, but it's what I've been told. We'll be back. Your calls continue.
You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
Established, reputable.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Your morning espresso starts right here. It's the Sean Hannity Morning Minute.
The White House puts out official transcripts whenever the president speaks. And in this folks, imagine what we can do the next 4 more years. Pause. The way they write it up in the official transcript. 4 more years. Inaudible. No, let's play that again, because it sounds very audible to me when he says pause. You decide.
Imagine what we can do next. 4 more years. Pause. 4 more years. 4 more years.
What do you call that, Linda? Propaganda, misinformation, lying, all the above?
I mean, I call it lying. I think lying really sums it up well.
The Sean Hannity Show, from coast to coast, later today.
Getting quality employees to fill positions in your company is essential, but finding those people can be a major hassle, unless you use ZipRecruiter. ZipRecruiter makes finding quality people a breeze. And right now you can try it for free at ZipRecruiter.com/free. With ZipRecruiter, one click sends your job to hundreds of top job sites. But more than that, ZipRecruiter's advanced technology identifies the candidates with the skills you need, sends you a list of great matches to review, then actively invites them to apply for your job. And the results speak for themselves. 4 out of 5 employers who post on ZipRecruiter get a quality candidate within the first day. That's right, the first day. Now you can focus on your business and let ZipRecruiter do the work finding the best people for you. See for yourself. Experience the ease, efficiency, and power of ZipRecruiter for free. Just go to ZipRecruiter.com/free. That's ZipRecruiter.com/free. ZipRecruiter.com/free.
Enable our skill and tell your smart speaker, play WPG. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
Makes me think about things a little bit differently.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Hey, get a load of this one. I just, during the break, heard an idiot. I hate to use that word, but you have to be just absolutely either self-indulgent, self-absorbed, a fool, an idiot. This person actually said that grandmas should be excluded from Mother's Day. She's actually certifying that her own mother shouldn't have Mother's Day. How dumb can you be? Yes, idiot, you are now a mom, but so is your mom, who is the grandmother. My God, what has this country come to? I'm telling you, there is a generation right now, they have been rewired. This is how they really think about this and a lot of different issues. Wow, is all I can say to that. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. You're on the air.
Well, she's a real mother.
Yeah, that's crazy.
World duh. You don't miss a thing. You don't even miss batteries that have gone bad in a smoke detector.
I know. It's a curse, Andrea. I'm telling you, it's a curse and a blessing.
Hey, listen, there was no real estate crime that he was convicted of where he had to come up with how much?
No, it's a victimless crime. It's not even a crime. It's a fake trial. They're talking sex and all this other stuff. 4 weeks into a trial, they haven't said one thing. They keep saying things are criminal, but they're not. The only alleged crime is that they say that Trump approved the falsification of business records to further another crime, and they had to say it like that because there was nothing that they could charge him with. All the statute of limitation had expired in anything they wanted to do, and it was all misdemeanor stuff, so that would have been nothing burger stuff. Then meanwhile, they have violent criminals that they let run free and let go out with no bail. I mean, it's really almost beyond belief that this is going on in our country right now. Thankfully, that Karen McDougal will not be able to testify because that was going to be Stormy Daniels 2.0.
This is just off the cuff because I had something else I wanted to ask you, but it just seems the Democrat women, they're not really good looking and they're kind of nasty. Like, I'd like to say, behind every great man is a great woman. Joe Girallo, his wife comes with him to his meetings and fundraisers, and she is a doll, Harry. She's just a doll. Everybody's been asking me, my friends are asking me, what is wrong with Robert Kennedy Jr.'s voice?
He actually has a disorder. I did go into great detail exactly what it is. It basically, there's a long name for it that I don't remember, but and he's had it for a long time, but it has gotten worse over the years. It's a basically paralyzing of his vocal cords, so he has to really struggle in order to speak.
Yeah, I've met somebody with that disorder, and they treat it with Botox. They try to, but it hasn't helped. Although it's made him very good looking. He said all that Botox. But listen, I needed to ask you, is there any room for one more for your golf tournament? Could Gray play? Or
as of right now, I not only have it sold out, but there's also 3 foursomes waiting, and I don't have a single opening.
Okay.
But if I do, I'll call you.
Well, thank you, and we've always enjoyed them so much, Harry, and they're always. And I always tell that about people because no matter where it's raining, it never. Hold on, knock on wood. It never rains at your golf tournament. It's amazing.
By the way, I know, and even when we moved it from Friday, it torrentially rained on Friday, but was beautiful sunny on Thursday. So there's something to it. It's 16 straight years, and the first time we weren't on Friday, it hadn't rained on our tournament 15 or 16 years on Friday until we moved it, and then it rained. By the way, Robert Kennedy Jr. has spasmodic dysphonia. It's a neurological disorder that causes his vocal cords to squeeze too close together, and that's why he doesn't get that vibration that we get effortlessly that lets us have tonal quality and resolution. He has the hoarseness and the almost sounds like he's just almost sounds like he has like Parkinson's or something, but he doesn't. It's totally different.
All right, Harry. Thank you for the time.
Thank you, Andrea. Take care. It's exactly 30 minutes past the hour. Your calls continue in just a few minutes. Don't bail out. One open phone line at 609-407-1450. It is the Hurley in the Morning program.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
Just a few clicks away from 30 minutes past the hour. Harry Hurley. 3 stories that you can follow on our WPG Talk Radio 95.5 app. The Atlantic City Board of Education has failed once again to do its job to suspend Superintendent of Public Schools LaQuetta Small. Are they about to reject expert advice that the taxpayers are paying for? We'll find out in 6 days. It's official. An iconic Margate nightclub is about to reopen. Read all about it on the app.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Back to jacket weather, not only because of cool temperatures, but also because of rain. We'll see periods of light rain and drizzle throughout your Friday. It'll stay cloudy, breezy, and just miserably cool. Temperature this afternoon only 52. That's about where we are now. Showers wrap up this evening. We'll clear out after midnight, low 46. Partly sunny and dry during the day tomorrow, high of 60. Rain returns tomorrow night. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today.
Getting quality
Hurley in the morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Hurley in the morning.
They really do separate fact from fiction.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Hence the name Truth in Broadcasting, as in Hurley in the morning. Back to your calls in just a moment. Pleased to report this portion of Hurley in the morning brought to us in part by Batteries Plus, right here in Northfield. Also a great store in Mount Laurel, and they're one of our WPG industry aces. So if you have a car, a truck, marine, RV, camper, golf cart, ATV, mobility scooter, motorcycle, and you need a battery, they've got it. They've got you covered. Their stock is amazing. And when you go into the store, one of the first things I noticed, this years ago, and I said this to Roy right away. I said, Roy, this is the cleanest and most well-maintained store that I think I've ever seen. It is so organized. If you need to get ready for storm season, if you need LED, emergency lighting, portable generator, surge protectors, Batteries Plus has them all. If your screen on your cell phone or tablet is broken, bring it in. They'll fix it while you wait. I've done this one. Cell phone battery went, just wasn't holding a charge anymore. Just had to always have a battery backup and all these things. They put the new battery in while I waited. They know how to break the seal. They know how to do it. They know how to then do the right resealing of it. They do a terrific job. All of it and more. Batteries Plus, and they'll fix it. 900 Tilton Road, right next door to Broadcast Center in Northfield, and Route 73 in Mount Laurel. Stop into one of their locations and enter to win a pair of tickets to see Journey and Def Leppard. Back to your calls at 37 minutes past the hour. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. You're on the air.
Hello, Harry.
It is I.
Harry, I just want to say I don't think Trump will go to jail even if he's convicted.
Well, here's the deal. Juan Merchan could do that if he wanted. And I don't think even he will do that. I'll tell you what I think he will do. Because remember, he still wants to be invited to all the beautiful people parties, May. So you just have to understand, if Trump is convicted, Merchan is not going to allow him just to stay out on bail pending appeal. I believe he'll put him into home confinement. Now, that might mean he has to stay at Trump Tower, because if he doesn't let him cross state lines to go to Florida, or he'll let him do it because maybe he'll say, the Secret Service and everything, it would be safer and better at Mar-a-Lago. He might make him do it there. I could see him putting an ankle bracelet or some kind of GPS thing on the president, again, to inflict indignity. So I think, May, you're absolutely wrong. If you think that if he's convicted that he's going to be treated decently, come on. How can you say that? Okay. This guy let a porn star testify in a falsification of business records case.
Well, Harry, I was listening to the Dan Bongino show about...
Well, I like Dan, but if Dan, and I know Dan, if Dan said that Trump won't be jailed, he's wrong. I even think there's a chance that Merchan will jail him if he violates the gag order. And it's hard not to, because you're listening to people lie about you, and they're allowed to make money off of you, and they're allowed to say anything. Michael Cohen wears some fake cowboy hat now, and he's wearing like anti-Trump shirts, and he's conducting business on this trial and on Trump, and Trump can't say anything back. And then let's swear in our next witness, Michael Cohen, and then he comes into the courtroom. So I don't listen to Dan. But if that's where you got your information that you think Trump won't be jailed, he's wrong and you're wrong.
Well,
by the way, I don't think he's going to be convicted, so this is hypothetical. But when you say he won't be jailed, he would have to be found guilty, and then that decision to either let him stay out on appeal or any other decision that the judge might make. I just know this judge. This judge is a bad guy, and if the jury convicts President Trump, he will administer something that will be unprecedented on President Trump. I have no doubt about that. I think, again, it might be house arrest, but he's going to imprison him because, after all, that keeps Trump, limited on the campaign trail. He would be campaigning only from home, which the Democrats, look, this whole case is about trying to push a broken jalopy over the finish line and somehow hoodwink the American people into disqualifying Trump and giving Biden 4 more years by default. That's the game that's being played. I got to run. But listen to me. Don't listen to Bongino. You'll be better informed. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. You're on the air.
Hi, good morning, Harry. Thanks for taking my phone call.
My pleasure.
So maybe I'm the only person in Atlantic County, but maybe you can help me understand this with the whole Marty Small, quite a small thing.
Yes.
Yeah, the allegations are, maybe I don't understand the law, but she used a closed fist, punched the daughter allegedly in the face, and then he choked her to the point nearly where she passed out. Well, wouldn't Child Protective Services, even if it's not proven true, we don't know for a fact if it even happened, wouldn't they take the minor out of the household until it is investigated?
Well, how do you know that didn't happen? See, I haven't talked about the child because I've chosen not to talk about the child, only when I have to. And then I think I've used initials or minor child and don't even get specific that it's their child. Let me also remind you, it isn't just what you said. Marty Small is charged with second-degree endangering the welfare of a child, third-degree aggravated assault, third-degree terroristic threats, disorderly person, simple assault. Laquetta Small, second-degree endangering the welfare of a child, 3 separate counts of disorderly person, simple assault. So it isn't just the alleged caveman dragging down the stairs. I forget what they call that. It's a term I never heard of before, but I think it's the boom, 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 just dragging somebody down the steps recklessly and letting them hit their head or whatever body parts hit every step all the way, from the top down to the bottom. There's some crazy name for that I never heard before. And then, of course, there is the allegation of the broomstick, and also documented that there was a trip for medical attention where a different reason for the injury was presented by Marty Small, allegedly, but they appear to have the evidence that they can say it without even saying it's alleged. You've got the Laquetta Small participation, which is also hideous. Then, of course, you also have Constance Days Chapman, the principal of the high school. Allegedly, this child went to adults for help, mustered the courage to be able to say that she was being emotionally and physically abused. And I've written a tutorial on this. The Department of Child Protective Services, the state of New Jersey, and there's annotated statutes, the adults are required to report that first. The Atlantic City Board of Education allowed Laquetta Small to rewrite the rules on child abuse that you report it to the principal. Totally unlawful. That's another thing that I think they should all be charged with, and I think the board should be charged as well because they're complicit at this point. So it's a lot more than what you said.
Well, I mean, but my question, Harry, is how's the child allowed to remain in the household?
Okay, let me tell you what I said before. How do you know she's residing in the household? Do I have to say that? I mean, do I have to spell it out? She doesn't live there.
Okay.
Okay? That's how you do it. So I don't know. I do know where she is, but I'm not going to get into it. I've been told she doesn't live there and she lives somewhere else. That a family member, the resolution was that she would be somewhere else. Obviously, because there was the additional domestic disturbance call, she went home to retrieve some things, and then there was the domestic call that was widely reported whenever that was, a week or so ago. But yeah, it's my understanding you assumed that she was at home. I believe that she, and I'm not an authority on this, but you're directly asking, so I want to be intellectually honest. It's my understanding she does not stay at home at this point. But that's for all them to work out, not for us. But don't assume that's where she is at all. She was there at that moment when the domestic call that Marty Small placed to the police department happened, but that also doesn't mean she was living there. She may have just been going to retrieve, personal effects or something that she needed. So it's been very well handled by the Atlantic County Prosecutor's Office. It's been very poorly handled, in my estimation, by the Board of Education. It's been an absolute abomination what the state has allowed to happen for a month by not getting involved when the locals refused to do their job. Because, the perps have a lot of power right now, and no action has been taken. But I do note the principal got suspended the same day that the criminal charges came down.
Well, it seems like the principal is going to be the fall guy in all this. Like you said, she's going to be a scapegoat. Well,
I use the term fall guy, but their charges are very separate. They will have been responsible. She's convicted and has to go to jail for 5 years, and I believe that's the amount of time she would have to do. I'm not saying she would get 5 years. I'm saying she'll have to do 5 years. It will be because of she tried to help the Smalls. It was a terrible decision that she made. If she's found guilty, she will have destroyed her career, lost her pension, lost her freedom for a period of time, no longer have a teaching certificate, no longer have a principal certificate. I mean, it's an absolute disaster.
So the only other point I was trying to make was, did you hear on the news this morning? This makes me laugh because it is laughable. Like, for 4 years, Biden's done nothing with immigration.
Right.
And all of a sudden, they're coming out and they're going to start deporting. If you're suspected of being a terrorist or a criminal, they're going to deport you.
Correct, because Joe Biden has 18 Democrats who are about to lose their seats that can't deal with him anymore and are saying you have to do something about this illegal immigration. So, yes, for 3.5 years, they will have let millions of people, including terrorists and human smugglers and drug traffickers and heinous, horrible people. Just talk to any family member that's lost a loved one murdered by one of Biden's illegal voters, because that's he slipped the other day. He called them voters. Then he babbled and stammered and called them something else, migrants. But he called them voters. This is the plan. So, yes, for 5 or 6 months, they will fake like they're really tightening things up. And guess what? If the American people fall for it, then the day after the election, they will go right back into business, and it'll even be worse than what it's been over the past 4 years.
Right. It will be worse.
Yeah, I have to get the break in. I've got to go. More calls right after the break. Don't go away. It's Hurley in the Morning.
In a world full of fake news, AI, and unverified information on social media, where can you get the latest, most accurate South Jersey news? WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app. Don't wait for the newspaper to come in the mail. The WPG Talk Radio app is updated around the clock from New Jersey's largest radio news team. Accurate, dependable, reliable. When you need to know, it's WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app. Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the Morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app. You're listening to Hurley in the Morning.
Egg Harbor Township. I'm from Margate.
Listen at home or in the office on your smart speaker. Just say, play WPG.
Brigantine.
Cape May. Galloway.
Hurley in the Morning on South Jersey's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Hey, thank you. 10 minutes before the top of the hour, Atlantic City Councilman. So it will be all out Dateline Atlantic City coming up for the final 2 hours of today's program. And I will share with you what I spent many hours working on last night and Hurley this morning relative to exactly where things stand with the Laquetta Small matter and the fact, the abomination that she still was showing up for work. And I say that because I am a absolute practitioner and believer in the presumption of innocence. However, everybody knows, and she knows it too, when you are criminally charged with child abuse, you cannot remain in the educational setting. There are many examples, including her own principal, where that is the case. And don't let anyone tell you, oh, no, this is different because it's a personal matter. No, it's child abuse. And if you go to my article, I cite the statute. If you are found guilty of child abuse, you are prohibited from ever teaching again in the state of New Jersey. You're finished. And when you are charged with it, you are suspended. You can't be given a leave of absence or a sabbatical. You can be given a suspension only, and it can be paid. And if a board decides it's unpaid, this board, of course, they may not even decide to suspend and just keep testing this. How far can it go? How long can this go? Note, Constance Days Chapman was suspended on the day that she was criminally charged. Laquetta Small, it's been a month, has not been suspended. And that is because Marty and Laquetta Small control the school board. There's no board that I'm aware of. I was a board member. I will tell you that it would be impossible for me not to move to suspend a teacher, a principal, any certified member, any supportive staff member, anybody charged with these same child abuse criminal offenses. You have to be suspended. And that's what I believe their expert has told the board. And I'm also being told that they may vote against what their expert says. So good luck with that. Good luck paying an expert attorney to give advice, because I can assure you, I don't know this guy, but there's no way that I'm going to believe that somebody in his position would say, oh, yeah, this is just up to you. If you want to keep this person working, this is a close call. If you want to keep the person, you can. If you want to, show an abundance of caution and vote to suspend, you could do that. It's my understanding that he's already told them that they have to suspend and that it's their decision whether they suspend with or without pay. We'll get back to that a little bit later in the program. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. You're on the air.
Hey, gracious. Good morning, Harry.
Good morning to you, sir.
You have a lot on spinning on that Lazy Susan palette, as they say.
Well, do you remember the old $1 Million Pier? And this game was just across and to my right from the cat rack that I ran. And you could spin the plates, and you tried to see how many you could keep spinning at the same time.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then remember, there was also that little palette painting booth there. It was a bizarre thing there.
Oh, there were a lot of cool things. Go ahead.
The reason I'm calling is threefold. Number one, yesterday my cousin and I, we went out to Beth Kahila Cemetery and just extended Mother's Day thoughts to both our individual moms and my aunt, being my cousin. And as I was walking around, and then I came across the section where it's the Holocaust survivors. And I knew a lot of people, the Zuckermans and some of the other people, the Blums that were in there. But I wanted to think, I can't believe that Biden is doing what he's doing to Israel. But then I thought, while I was seeing all the other family members that are gone, what if Beau Biden was still alive? Would there be a chance for Joe Biden to actually still have some moral compass?
Not at this state. It wouldn't matter if Bo was alive or Bo is dead. He's not with it. He is way out there right now. The other people unelected are calling all the shots. This is all about winning the election. They'll burn the house down to rule the ashes, and they need Michigan. They need Wisconsin. They need Minnesota. They are right now, as sick as it sounds, it is truth, not opinion. They are pandering to the pro-Hamas wing of the Democrat Party that's not supporting Joe Biden right now. He needs them in order to win. If he doesn't get them back, I think he loses anyhow. But if he doesn't get them back, he has no chance to win.
One other thing, Harry.
Yeah.
One other thing. You were talking about your sense of taste and smell and stuff like that. I was thinking, in a rather demented Chelsea neighborhood idea, like Rogues or Satan's or Bones or Miguel, all those fraternities used to torture your mental acuity at times. That maybe we should send Joe Biden the recipe for Mountain Rocky oysters. That way he has an idea to grow a set. He has to grow a set. There you go. That's all I'll say.
Thank you, Lance. Oh, my God. I can't unhear that. I can't unsee that. Rocky Mountain Oysters. That's going to be with me for a while, Lance. Have a great weekend. Thank you. Time for one more call. Welcome to Hurley in the Morning. You're on the air. Caller, it's your big moment. All right, listen closely, caller. I put you back on hold. You're going to hear a nice little welcome tone that only you hear. It does not even go out over the air. And I'm going to try to bring you back on. If you're not there on the second time, the next thing you hear will be me hanging up on you. Caller, are you there now?
Yeah, can you hear me?
Yes, I could not hear you before, though.
Oh, my gosh. I have a weird thing.
Listen, this is why I always give people two chances. And, people hold for a long time. And I know there are people who just hang up on you real quick if you're not right there. We always give a second chance. I'm glad we did. Time is yours.
Yes. Our founding fathers weren't sitting around the campfire holding hands and saying kumbaya, but they knew that King George III sucked, right?
Yeah.
So now Dennis Miller says that the Democrat Party and the Republican Party are the Hatfields versus the McCoys. But I got to tell you, I didn't like Ronald Reagan until I saw him in action. I saw what kind of a president he was. And I'm just saying, we have to convince. I more and more I feel like I'm a mouse in a snake aquarium, and it's a multi-headed hydra. It's got Joe Obama as the head, and another head's Obama, another head's Pelosi.
But the funny thing about it is, though, Barack Obama strongly dislikes. This is the part that's very dysfunctional about this sick party. Obama strongly disliked Joe Biden. Criticized him all the time, still does to this day, and a lot of things that get leaked to the media that come out, Obama did. You have Joe Biden cannot stand Kamala Harris, and Jill Biden dislikes her even more than Joe does. It's a very dysfunctional organization they have.
I know two women, a mother and daughter, who could not stand President Trump until they moved to Florida. Now their grandson is getting an education at a Christian school, and all of a sudden they like Governor DeSantis and the person who helped Governor DeSantis become governor of Florida.
Well, as you know, Trump. Flash, here's the reality. If all you know about Trump is what you hear in most of the mainstream media, I don't blame anybody. They make him a monster. So you have to then step out and learn a little bit more on your own. And then you say, wait a minute now. I like $2 a gallon gas. I like 0% inflation. I like high wages that could pay for everything. I like being energy independent and a net oil exporter. I liked all of this. So it's coming home.
WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ HD3 Millville, a Town Square media station. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes starts now. From Harry Hurley Way and the world's playground to the Broadcast Pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame. You're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
It is 6 minutes past the hour. I received a text message from Fox News telling me that it looks like they believe they have confirmed this. It looks as though Michael Cohen will be testifying on Monday. So that is huge because nobody else has brought their case home. And if he doesn't, they've got nothing at that point. And who knows? Maybe it's the point all along. I mean, they have no law. They have no case on their side, but they've been able to, bring in a porn star and condoms and silky drawers and all this crazy, stuff. Evidently, the jurors, it seems to be getting out that they were very turned off by all of it because they're wondering, what does any of this have to do with, did Trump approve the falsification of business records to further another crime? Stormy Daniels should not have been approved by this politically Democratic judge, Juan Merchan, to even be a witness. Karen McDougal is not going to be a witness. Why would she be? To tell more stories like this? So maybe the whole point is just keeping him off the campaign trail, dusting him up, trying to, take votes away. Maybe they know they have no case. Because how is Cohen? Cohen's the lawyer who made the recommendation to pay the settlement, the non-disclosure agreement. How's that Trump's problem? You take the advice of your lawyer and you get criminally charged? So we'll see. I don't know. I know I don't know what he's going to say, but I know on cross-examination he is going to be eviscerated by Todd Blanche. He is going to get crushed. Get ready for it. It's going to be epic, I believe. Because, he's already been destroyed. You had that very elegant Hope Hicks say, yeah, Michael Cohen was really good at fixing things that he broke in the first place. It's like the arsonist that is the fireman. Hey, I put out the fire. No, you started the fire. Yeah, but I put out the fire. I love that. I love that line that he fixed everything he fixed, he broke in the first place. So all the prosecution witnesses so far, including Stormy Daniels, when you net them out, net, they've all been pro witnesses for President Trump. No doubt about it. All right, Dateline Atlantic City, let's get right to it. Joining us is our Friday morning pal, Atlantic City Councilman at Large George Tibbett joins the program. Councilman, good morning.
Good morning, Harry.
Let me bring up something that I think is very abusive, and the citizens of Atlantic City have to do something about this. So it's going to involve people being willing to run for the Board of Education, to do the hard work that it takes to win, and the culture needs to be changed. When they need a special meeting of the Board of Education so that they can vote on what's called the doctrine of necessity. For those who don't know, and you shouldn't know because it shouldn't even be required, the doctrine of necessity is brought up when you have something like the budget, $250 million budget has to be voted on, but so many of the board members have a direct conflict of interest because, for example, if you're Shea Steele and you're the board president and your wife's a teacher in the school, I think she's a teacher, she definitely has a position, you can't vote on the budget. And the board is filled with people that have husbands and wives and children and other relatives that are employed by the district because it, too, has become an employment agency for the people in power to be able to give jobs to all their family and friends. So they had to vote on the doctrine of necessity so that then they could have another meeting next week to vote on whether or not they should suspend the superintendent of schools. Councilman Tibbet, we need an enema. We need a culture change. Something has to be done here. Your thoughts?
Well, Harry, when you have a budget between the Board of Ed and the city of Atlantic City, and what is it, about 35% of the people have to pay property tax, business taxes. It's insane when you think about 48 blocks being over $500 million.
It's crazy
at this time. And to say that this doctrine of necessity thing is so, it's a joke. The people that are in conflict are voting to allow themselves to vote on something that's a clear conflict.
Correct.
It should have to come from the board. The county board should have to give that. When I say the county board of education should have to give the approval on allowing something like that. Why would you let people that have a conflict of interest vote to allow themselves to legally vote on something that's a conflict of interest?
Well, I totally agree. It's a scam. It's only in government, only in corrupt politics. Here's the other thing that I'm suggesting. I encourage, and I'm going to encourage Governor Chittarelli when he's in office to do this. And Senator Palestina, I hope, is listening. And Assembly members Guardian and Swift, I hope you're listening. We have to bring up something, make it law, where you can't even have this. I guarantee you there are people that would serve under the condition. I was a board member for 2 terms. Margie was not in the district. I didn't help her get a job. Nobody in my family had a job in the district. And I did a good job while I was a school board member. We have to have people that want to get involved, but not in order to give a relative a job. Because if you're in that position where, like Shea Steele, for example, I'm not just singling him out. There are multiple members. A majority of the board cannot vote on the budget. That is ridiculous. A majority of the board would not be able to vote on whether to suspend Laquetta Small or not suspend Laquetta Small. I'm going to get to that after the first break. So then you do this doctrine of necessity that you described very, very well. It then allows you to what? Legally vote in a matter that you are already conflicted from voting on? It is crazy. So really what they need to do is they need to make it that, you know what, if you want to be a school board member, your children and your spouse and anybody that would constitute a conflict are not going to be able to be employed in the district while you're on the board. What's so hard about that?
Well, Harry, we're living in times in this world, especially in America right now, and unfortunately my party, the Democrats, are manipulating every little word in every little law. And it's destroying our country as a whole, let alone the local municipalities. And you can see, especially in Atlantic City, these slimeball lawyers that get hired and just totally and completely manipulate the laws. Because remember, when it gets challenged in court, that slimeball lawyer is the same guy that's going to get paid to win or lose to fight it in court. Because let's face it, their product is billable hours.
Oh, they love getting sued. But guess what? They're not going to love it because it's all going to come home to roost. I mean, David Castellani, he could make his practice only suing Atlantic City right now and Marty and Laquetta Small. I think he has 11 cases, if I'm not mistaken. So it's terrible what's going on, and something has to be done about it. But it can't be, hey, we'll have a special meeting and invoke the doctrine of necessity, and now it's all good. Now we can go vote to not suspend Laquetta Small. And we'll talk about that after the break. This guy, David Rubin, is being paid by the taxpayers to be special counsel to the board. I think there's a very good chance, Councilman Tibbet, that the board is not going to take his recommendation.
Well, word on the street is they're not. Word on the street is that the mayor's been calling quite a few people. I guess somebody would have to ask the mayor if that's true, if he's been calling all the board members and asking them not to support it. So that's something that somebody should ask the mayor if that's true or not.
Yeah, but he's a liar anyhow, so I don't believe anything he says. If he said I haven't called anybody, I wouldn't believe him. even if it's true that he didn't call anyone.
Well, Harry, we have to be extremely careful with every word we say, because them and the slime ball lawyers are recording your show, just waiting for you or I to make a mistake so they can try and file some type of lawsuit against us for
slander. Well, I very comfortably can say that he's a liar because, for example, he said the state of New Jersey was the reason why he had to shut down Dredgy Wood and Fish Heads. So the state of New Jersey, he didn't think they would ever come out and countermand him. The state of New Jersey came out and said that the city of Atlantic City, not the state of New Jersey, shut down Dredgy Wood and Fish Heads. So if you say that you didn't do it, that the state did it, and the state comes out and says, no, you did it. We knew Palestina had approval from the state for Dredgy Wood and for Fish Heads to remain open. Small did the dirty deed, and then he lied about it. Truth is an affirmative defense, my friend.
Yes, and the sad part about all this, Harry, is, yes, the chickens are going to come home to roost. But the people that committed the crimes or committed the offenses that cost all these lawsuit settlements, they're not going to be the ones paying. The slimeball lawyers that didn't put a stop to it and advise them correctly, they're going to get paid win or lose their cases. It's us, the taxpayers, the homeowners, the small businesses that are going to have to pay for all these cases. We're the ones that are going to get punished. But guess what? We deserve it because we voted these people in.
Well, I hate to say that, but they do say you get the government that you deserve. When we come back, I know it came up a moment ago, but I want to further the point, then we'll move on from there. A lot to talk about with Atlantic City Councilman at Large George Tibbett. I want to talk about the hiring of David Rubin, what his role is. Will the Board of Education heed his advice? After all, this is a dispassionate expert that doesn't have, to my knowledge, any family members, any friends, just came in from another part of the state at the behest of the Board of Education. And in all the interviews we've done with John Devlin over the years, so many times the taxpayers have been obligated to pay for these different, whether they're national job searches, pay all this money, substantial five figures for that. Then they short-circuit it and pick Laquetta Small, who had never even been an assistant superintendent, or other examples when they didn't take action on child abuse that was taking place. And now I think now we know why. I kept saying this is really confounding to me. Why didn't they change their policies and procedures relative to protecting children? They wouldn't hear of it. They wouldn't change it. The only changes they made were unlawful by saying, hey, if there's a report of a child reports that they're being abused, you tell us first. You don't tell the state of New Jersey Child Protective Services. I mean, this is incredible what's going on. I believe there has to be many more criminal charges than we know about that have to be done. All right, a lot to unpack there. We'll be back right after this.
Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the morning.
We need to just listen to the facts.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Hurley in the morning.
Harry Hurley is the only person on the radio who isn't afraid to speak the truth about what's really happening in Atlantic City.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
We continue with Atlantic City Councilman at Large George Tibbett. All right, so right before the break, Councilman, I teased that when we came back, I wanted to talk about David Rubin. He is an expert who has been hired by the Atlantic City Board of Education to advise them. And here's the sad thing. You didn't need David Rubin. You needed to just look at New Jersey law, look at every single past practice that has ever taken place. I'm still waiting for someone to take my challenge and show me an example of anyone in education, not just a superintendent, but a teacher, a principal, assistant superintendent, supportive staff member, anyone that has been criminally charged with child abuse. And it is right in the statute. If you go to NJSA 18A 6-7.1, it lists all of the different criminal offenses that permanently disqualify an individual from employment within the public school system. The first one listed is all first or second degree crimes. The second listed is sexual offenses. The third listed is child abuse. And I only include like 5, but there's a bunch more. But right there, child abuse. So even though we are the freest and the most spectacular country ever in the history of the world, where the presumption of innocence is the backbone, the bedrock, I adore it. I support it. But when you are in a school setting and you have child abuse criminal charges, you can't stay. That's why Councilman Constance Days Chapman was suspended, we believe, with pay. That is the board's purview. And I believe Rubin has told the board, you have to suspend her. It's clear. The law is clear. And it's your decision whether you suspend her with or without pay. That's the only judgment that the board has. Now, this board is capable, and you say that it's the buzz around town, and it's what multiple sources have told me, Councilman Tibbet, that they're preparing to go against the advice of their expert and vote to allow LaQuetta Small to continue active as superintendent of the Atlantic City Public Schools. Councilman, that would be a big mistake.
Yes, it was. And from day one, I've always said she should not be treated any more harsh or any better than anybody else because of who she is. If the statute clearly says that's what has to happen, then that's what has to happen. They're going to hire an attorney that's an expert in this field, and he is one of the best around and one of the most knowledgeable around in this subject, and you don't listen to him. And like right now, it's allegations, but usually, what we hear on the streets are 99% of the time is true. But let's take it a step further, Harry. The board didn't suspend Constance Days. I'm told the superintendent suspended her. So we need to find out who actually suspended Constance Days.
Well, by the way, that's good order, because the principal reports to LaQuetta, and she was still active at the time. She knew, and Marty knew, they were going to be charged. That's why Marty did his, Rumpelstiltskin, fake rally thing, because he knew any day they were next. So at the time she did that, she was not criminally charged. She was Constance Days Chapman's immediate supervisor. She's absolutely the right person to have done the suspension. She did the right thing. It's a shame because it's horrific, because Constance Days Chapman, in my opinion, was protecting the Smalls, and she took the hit because she did allegedly terrible things. So that was done correctly, Councilman. LaQuetta Small reports directly to the Board of Education, so they weren't required to take action against Days Chapman. LaQuetta was, and she did. They are required to take action, and it's so cowardly what they're doing. They won't even comment, Councilman. Nothing.
Yeah, I guess people won't let them speak.
Somebody's controlling somebody. I mean, how does the board president not? Oh, no comment. What do you mean no comment? Are you suspending this individual like always happens, or do you have some special reason that you're not going to? Because that's a lot of liability to leave someone that is facing serious child abuse criminal charges active in that position. I'm not aware of it ever happening, George.
Well, they need to apply the rules across the board. Like you said, Mrs. Days was accused of something. They took action immediately. And like I said again, Ms. Small should not be treated any more harshly or any better. Well, if it's good for Mrs. Days, it's good for her, it's good for you, it's good for me. Why? There is clearly special treatment.
And by the way, in Constance Days Chapman's case, she is charged with official misconduct, terrible things, because of what she did allegedly in her position. She's not accused of child abuse, unless child abuse type criminal charges extend to if you fail to report. The Smalls, Marty and LaQuetta, they're actually charged with child abuse. I mean, and she's not suspended, but the principal is, and the principal should have been. Again, presumption of innocence, and if you win, you come back, and you're being paid, is what I've been told. They're not going to lose anything there financially. Of course, you lose your ability to come to work and embarrassment in the community and all of this. But she should have thought of all that before she allowed the policy to be changed, that you don't report first. What do you think about that one? That they actually, I've confirmed 2 schools. I hear it's more, but I never trade on rumors. I did the due diligence to find out and have it in writing that they changed the policy at Atlantic City High School and they changed the policy at Chelsea Heights, whereby you report not to the state, as law requires, you report to the principal. There's a reason, Councilman Tibbet, they made those changes.
Well, Harry, you can't just blame bad kids. You have to blame the state. The state is there. The state allows these changes. The state allowed this whole circus to go on. The state allowed the abuse of children to go on. The state continues to allow this to go on. Governor Murphy ran on protecting children. He ran on protecting people of sexual abuse. The governor is failing. Did you see Jack Ciattarelli? He's the only one to come out and say what he would do.
Oh, yeah.
Jack Ciattarelli is the only one to step up.
By the way, that's at my provocation, because I have been sending him every article that I have written and everything that we have talked about this, and didn't even have to ask him. He knew it was the right thing. He wants to be the leader of the state. He knew it was the right thing to make comment, George.
Yeah, Harry, I think we're getting cut off because I keep getting cut off. I don't know if it's a delay. Are we in a major delay?
There's a little latency, but no, we're good.
Yeah, okay.
We're good.
But no, I really appreciate the leadership that Jack has shown on this. And, why my governor, the guy I supported, is too busy chasing plastic bags and plastic straws around the state to where this stuff is going on. I think it's been pretty effective when we all call the governor out for this. He's wrong. He needs to step up to the plate, and the people he has in Atlantic City either get a backbone or get the hell out. They're just sitting here collecting checks in the city.
Let me get the halftime break in. You can continue. The time will be yours right after the break. And when you're finished your comment, I have a follow-up on this as well. Back with Councilman Tibbet right after this portion of Hurley in the Morning, brought to us in part by Congress Hall in Cape May, beautifully restored by Curtis Bashaw, 1816, oldest seaside resort in America. And when you walk in the door and you see the flags in the history hallway and the marble and everything that's been restored, and everything that they restore, they keep it so that you feel like you're stepping back in time. Great American charm from the moment you walk through the door. The marble-floored lobby, spacious ocean view guest rooms and suites. And as Margie says, one night at Congress Hall is like a vacation. You will absolutely love it. It is like your own little cottage by the sea. They pair it with amenities of a world-class resort. They have healthy indulgences. The Sea Spa is wonderful. That's on the first level. You have healthy farm-to-table, farm-fresh favorites at the Blue Pig Tavern restaurant. You have the Brown Room Lounge, and bar. Fantastic. And the Boiler Room, which is down in the basement where that would be where the coal used to be when it was a coal-fired building, because it's been there for hundreds of years. Also, making a reservation for spring midweek is a great idea. Less crowds, great rates. Book your stay at caperesorts.com/ Congress Hall. Congress Hall, America's first seaside resort, open since 1816. Back with Councilman Tibbet right after this.
This is the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network.
It is at 34 minutes past the hour. Harry Hurley, 3 stories that you can follow right now on our WPG Talk Radio 95.5 app. The Atlantic City Board of Education failed yet again to suspend Superintendent LaQuetta Small, who stands criminally charged various child abuse issues. Is the Atlantic City Board of Education about to reject their paid experts' advice? We'll know in about 6 days. And it's official. An iconic Margate nightclub is set to reopen. All of that and more on the app.
From the Town Square, New Jersey Info and Weather Network, I'm Chief Meteorologist Dan Zarrow. Not a very nice weather day today. It's already pretty wet out there thanks to overnight rain, and we'll see additional periods of light rain and drizzle throughout this morning and this afternoon. Staying cloudy, breezy, and cool. Temperature this afternoon only 52. Showers wrap up this evening, drying out and clearing out after midnight, low 46. Tomorrow, partly sunny and dry during the day, high improves to 60. Get weather 24/7 wherever you are. Download our free mobile app today. This is an important safety.
You're waking up with Hurley in the morning on South Jersey's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
I'm looking for trustworthy news.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
We're back. It's 39 minutes past the hour. Atlantic City Councilman George Tibbet for the rest of today's TGIF special edition of the Hurley in the Morning program. Councilman, reclaim your time. It is yours. Please continue.
Yeah, like I was saying, I was very proud to see Jack Chitterelli stand up and be the only leader to actually say something needs to be done and what he would do immediately if he was in there. Now I challenge my Democratic Party to do the same. Mike Suleiman, where are you? Crickets, babe, brother. Crickets out of you. You made comments over more shit than everybody else. Time to open your mouth. Protect the children. NAACP, where are you? Governor Murphy. It's not that complicated, pal, just like Big Jack said. It's not that complicated. It's a disgrace what's going on when people vote us into office to protect, especially our children. And it's crickets from all of them. But they got big mouths when it comes to everything else.
Well, comment to this for me, Councilman, because I am embarrassed for and beyond disappointed in Kaleem the entertainer Shabazz. He attended that fake support rally for Marty and LaQuetta Small, brought up that this is somehow racism and politics when it has nothing to do with any of that. These are charges, criminal charges that have been filed. And you brought up, that they're not saying anything. Not only are they not saying anything that they should be saying, they're supporting the people who've been criminally charged.
Well, the same way they're standing there saying, let this play out in court. Well, shouldn't they let it play out? I mean, they call everything racist. What was the broom white? Was it a painted white broom? I don't see racism in there. What's racism got to do anything with any of this? It's every time something doesn't go in their favor, they want to divide the people. They want to divide us all, keeping us all hating each other, trying to get our children to be racist like the other generations were. When all that stuff we see is getting less and less each generation, where everybody just likes people because of who they are, not what they look like. And this is what the old heads do. They try and, I just ran a stop sign, got a ticket. Oh, it's racism. Everything is racism to divide us, and it's got to stop.
Yeah, and of course, when everything is racism, nothing is racism. My follow-up to you, Councilman Tibbet, is this. I expect this from Marty Small. I expect this from the local Board of Education. He controls them. I mean, Shea Steele, the board president, is a fireman or inspector or whatever he is. He has a wife that's in the school district. He evidently has other immediate family members that are employed by the city. And then you can say the same for many other board members. That's why they needed this whole doctrine of necessity to even be able to vote. So I expect it from them. They're politically aligned, probably politically controlled. I didn't expect this from the state, George. This really shocks me that they have allowed this to go on for a month. They should have let the local board handle it, telling them that if you don't, we will. But they have allowed this to continue for a month.
Where's the protection for this young boy? This young boy's afraid to leave his house. He's afraid something bad's going to happen to him. I mean, this young man is under a lot of pressure. He's afraid. And like I said before, unfairly, they don't trust the police department. Unfairly. Because he has put out the perception that he controls it, even though he doesn't. But if the people believe that, that's very damaging when people believe that the mayor controls the police department.
Well, hey, George, I don't even think that it stops there. It starts there. It doesn't end there. The Atlantic County Prosecutor's Office, they didn't bring any other legal controlling authority into their raid of the Marty and Laquetta home, Marty and Laquetta small residence. They handled it by themselves. There were no Atlantic City police officers a part of that. And there's good reason for that. I like Sarkis. He's a good man. But Marty is the director of public safety. So say you were that child who's already terrified, and with good reason. If you read the tort claim notice, you know, he's put out a lot of information that lost his job and lost a month of school, and people weren't letting him do this and that until he turned over the iPad in his possession, allegedly, and all kinds of charges about the alternative high school, about Marty and Laquetta Small. I mean, there's all kinds of allegations. I don't blame him for being afraid. So if he then sees, you know, Atlantic City Police, he's thinking that this is Marty Small sending these people, you know, to do something bad to me.
Yeah, and I'm going to stay out of the Smalls' family business, but I'm going to help this young man anywhere we can, speak out in public about this kid. This kid was very courageous. He did what Governor Murphy was a coward and didn't do. He stood up for those. A 15-year-old kid had more courage than Governor Murphy. He had more courage than Steve Fulop, that still continues. Steve Fulop wants to be the next governor, and so far you have been crickets on this issue. You have the guy, one of the chairmen of your election campaign, and you haven't said a word? Shame on you, Steve. You're supposed to be a Marine. Stand up and stick up for those that can't.
Wow, it's so true. 45 minutes past the hour. We'll be right back after this. Don't go away. Much more straight ahead. It's the Hurley in the Morning program.
Hurley in the Morning.
They always have great conversation.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Hurley in the Morning. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. And the WPG Talk Radio app. Hurley in the Morning.
It tends to make me feel a little bit more intelligent.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. Welcome back. 10 minutes before the top of the hour, Atlantic City Councilman at Large George Tibbett is our guest. Let me, there was a question that you started to respond to, and the narrative was great. So I got nothing but props for what you've been doing by way of participation. But let me ask you this, though. I expect it at the local level. Marty Small controls this board. You know, I don't see them voting to suspend his wife. They allegedly by law can't do this sabbatical thing or leave of absence, so it has to be a suspension. They can do it with pay, which of course they would do. I have no doubt about that. But either they will or they won't, and we'll know. But what is it, in your estimation, George, that the state has allowed this? That blows my mind. They don't surprise me, George. The state does, though.
Harry, it's very simple. It's extremely simple. Follow the money. Look where all the contracts are going. Everything's going up North Jersey. Look at the campaign contributions. They're all coming big money from North Jersey. You know, with trickle-down economics is very simple. If the money's made here in Atlantic City, you know, you want to use local Atlantic City and Atlantic County contractors. So that money comes back to all of us and our small businesses. One way or another, that money gets spent. You wonder why your businesses are doing so bad? You're sending millions, tens of hundreds of millions of dollars up north.
Yeah, we did lose our localness. It's a shame. You know, people used to complain about Gormley, but, you know, Gormley protected the district. If we only have Democrat tools, functionary order takers that do whatever they're told, and all the legal contracts, all the money, all this, all the other contracts that are awarded all go out of town, Camden County, North Jersey, wherever, that's awful. And you don't need anybody in there. You can put like a artificial intelligence in there to just write those purchase orders, purchase recs. So that is terrible. I mean, my philosophy on this is that new board members have to be willing to run, be candidates, and win, and that the voters have to say, we cannot have these people that are just using our tax dollars as their employment agency and their nest. Get people in there that aren't hiring their spouses and their children and other relatives and brothers and sisters and cousins and ex-wives and all this stuff that's happening. And then, too, all those things like the authorities and all, they should use local people.
Yeah. And, Harry, you know, we say get people to run. Nobody wants to get involved. You look at the Atlantic County committee seats in Atlantic City, and almost half of the seats are left open. Nobody wants to be involved anymore.
Yeah.
When you got, you know, when the FBI comes in and they press charges on Craig Calloway for applications and messenger ballot application stuff, when you have rampant fraud going on in the 4th and 5th Ward, where ballots are being stolen out of mailboxes, and they're going back to the houses with the people's ballots and making them fill them out in front of them. How hard of an investigation is this for the feds and the prosecutor's office to just take the names of everybody that turned in a ballot? You don't need to know how they voted, and go question them. Did this person bring your ballot back to your house, or did the mailman bring it? You stop the fraud, and people will believe they have a chance to run in these elections.
Well, let me ask you the $64,000 question, George. Why aren't they going after that?
All I can think of is we got our own version of Whitey Bulger in the office. We got Mayor Bulger up there. That's the only thing I can think of. Everybody else gets in trouble around them. You see what happened? They snitched on that little kid, tried to get that little kid in trouble, tried to get him put in jail, the 15-year-old kid. But there's no outrage for snitching there.
That was
terrible. It's like double standards.
Yeah, that was terrible.
Double standards on who the snitch is.
Wow.
It's terrible, Harry. And I think the only way to solve this problem right now would really be a change of government, a nonpartisan government, take all party bosses out, and put hope back into people that you can win, where you get placed on the ballot how your name is drawn, not by somebody else. Now, you know, there's a perception that Mike Suleiman will automatically give them the line on everything, which, you know, that I believe that's a perception. I'm not going to sit here and bash the guy, because he usually does what the committees want to his own peril, but there's a perception of otherwise out there.
Well, let me ask George, hold on. Because we know his track record, if it was Jim Curcio, if it's Morshed, if it's any other number of examples, he always races out Mike Suleiman with his press releases. You know, you got to go. I say so. You got to go. But these charges are not going to be resolved by next year. This appears that it's going to take a year and a half to 2 years, which means, and Marty already has announced that he's running and that he's going to win. He did that allegedly at a nonpartisan event inside City Hall. He makes these comments, the same place where he called you names and has called me names. So he's going to be running while criminally charged. I don't think there's any chance that Suleiman is going to do anything other than give Marty Small the regular Democrat column. What do you say?
I'm gonna say I believe that as well. But did you notice how quick they come out on one of the hardest working men in Atlantic County, Joe Girello?
Oh yeah, they're shameful.
You see how quick they come out? My party caused the minimum delay with the court case, of which I support Andy Kim fully, as well as we caused the problem, but then we're going to make the speech on something that may be a day or two late or didn't come out as quick as normal, but still under the statute, he still made it when we created all the delays with the ballots.
Right. They found a way to criticize Joe Girello by saying he wasn't early enough. He was on time, but they wanted him to be earlier than that. And you raise a very good point, and I shared it earlier this morning. He was delayed by the Andy Kim court challenge.
See, Harry, it takes a strange person like me to be able to tell the truth, to support my party, but also what comes first to me, Harry, is what is best for the people. And if I have a mutt on my team, I'm going to call it a mutt. And people can't take that. You have to be cultish anymore. And I'm a proud Blue Dog Democrat. The easiest thing for me to do with how embarrassing some of the things that are taking effect right now at the federal level and even at this local level will be to run for my party. But I'm in it for the long haul, hoping to bring back good, proud Blue Dog Democrats.
George, what I want to do, hold right there. We're less than a minute before the top of the hour, and we're going to come right back after the break. And my question to you, I'm putting it out there now, and this will be right on the floor for you to respond to when we come back in just a few minutes, is this. Do you feel a sense of either energy or movement relative to challenging Marty Small for mayor of Atlantic City? Because really, if he were to continue, he is the problem. Now, Jack Ciattarelli is going to be in like a year, so Atlantic City will be taken care of properly in a year anyhow. But it would be much better if Atlantic City was in the hands of somebody that's competent, that does not have the political agenda that Marty Small has, which I think is very bad for Atlantic City, very unpopular. But is there any movement to challenge him? And I believe that as many seats that are up, now we know the at-large seats are going to be up, and you're one of them. So 2 of those have to change. The third, you have to stay, I hope. We'll be back. A lot to talk about with Atlantic City Councilman George Tibbett right after this. Don't go away. It is The Truth in Broadcasting. It is the Hurley in the Morning program. Don't go away. Much more. Dateline, Atlantic City, after this.
WPGG Atlantic City, WENJ HD3 Millville, a Town Square media station. Everything you need to know in 6 minutes starts now. From Harry Hurley Way in the world's playground to the broadcast pioneers of Philadelphia Hall of Fame, you're about to find out why Harry Hurley has been named to the Talkers Magazine list of the 100 most important talk show hosts in the nation. Live from the studios of Town Square Media in Northfield, it's Hurley in the Morning on WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app.
Thank you. Welcome back on this very special edition, Mother's Day weekend edition of Hurley in the Morning. And we do take this opportunity to wish all the moms out there a great day. You are the matriarchs. You are the backbone of the family unit. And you just can't say enough about all the moms out there. Everything that you are, everything that you do, everything that you mean. 6 minutes past the hour. The question is on the floor as we continue in an extended long-form interview with Atlantic City Councilman at Large George Tibbett on the Hurley in the Morning program. Is anybody going to step up? I mean, if you can't beat a guy that's under, horrific multiple counts, including a very serious second-degree crime, I think at some point, I really believe this. I believe that more charges are going to be coming. I think that what's there for now is what we know, but I've heard a lot of different things from people who are speaking to legal controlling authorities. I think there's going to be more. I mean, if what I'm saying to you, Councilman Tibbet, if not now, when?
When what? I lost you there, Harry.
If not now, when, with respect to someone that has enough prominence, gravitas, skill sets, qualified to be mayor, that will take on Marty Small?
Well, there's, talk has started with many different. I know of at least there's 3 or 4 people that are kicking it around right now, and like, for instance, people that have asked me about it all the time. Like, if this was a county race between me and Mayor Smalls, easiest win I ever had in my life, countywide. Easiest win in my life, I tell you. He gets slaughtered. But when you're in Atlantic City, and you got unfortunately, there's certain guys in the Bangladesh community, certain leaders, not all, that harvest ballots, and we know it to be true. It's difficult in a partisan election, and you got to figure out it's a very challenging election in Atlantic City. It's not based upon talent. It's not based upon ability. It's more like a popularity contest, who has the most presents to give out. And with the CRDA basically backing, whether they realize it or not, backing a lot of this shenanigans that are going on through all the 800,000 that they give them, and they go out there and they buy votes with it, and your block captains, your building captains, trying to get these people involved. Harry, it is what it is. It's who's giving out the free thing in a lot of cases here. But I know of at least 3 people, and possibly another, that are having serious talks.
Let me jump in. What I believe has to happen, it's a Democrat town, so other than a Don Guardian, very, very tough for a Republican to win in Atlantic City. Didn't used to be, but it is now. So 3 or 4 people run against Small in the primary, he's going to win because he's done enough curry favor. He has enough support, even criminally charged, that he would win. This really has to be everyone coalescing behind one person to challenge Small. That's what has to happen.
Absolutely, and that's why it's great that people are talking now, and everybody sits down and figure out who you're going to get behind. Because, like you said it very good, 2 can't beat 1. Mm-mm. 4 definitely can't beat 1.
Right.
And we saw that. You saw that in the very last election. The guys running around screaming, "I won with 70-some-odd% of the vote." Yeah. No, pal, you won 3,400, and about 3,100 voted against you.
Correct.
3,100 voted against you, but that number was divided.
And that's before his maniacal reign and criminally charged. I mean, that was his high watermark when he was on good behavior. I got to give him credit. He snookered a lot of people where he was civilized, and I got to give it to him. He was smart. He was under control. When he had to run like 5 times before he got the full 4-year term, he played it beautifully. When he got in for the 4-year term, he became a monster.
Well, you put all that money in someone like his hands, and you have state overseers here that do absolutely nothing. They're just here basically collecting checks. I listened to your show for about 3 minutes the other day and had to turn it off because I was so pissed off at the lies I was listening to. I'm so disgusted with some of the state people that were good people that stand around and do nothing. They could put a stop to this as well. Why are they afraid? Let's get along. Let's go meet with this guy. Let's go meet with that guy. Yeah, I'm going to go meet with people that have been robbing the city all these years for their own personal benefit to just get along. That's not how it works. That's sure as hell how you don't do things.
So how do you feel about the council at large races, 3 open seats? Yours is one of them. Mayor, what are your thoughts?
Harry, you talk about voter suppression. It's the worst I've ever seen it. People don't want to get involved.
Yeah.
They don't want to get involved when they feel that the elections are being stolen. Here's a challenge to the FBI. Go get in the city. Go to the 4th and 5th wards. And all you got to do is look at the absentee ballots. Start questioning the people. You put an end to that, and people will believe in the voting system again. People will believe that they have a chance. You went after Craig Calloway for application stuff, but here we have serious, open voter fraud where ballots are being stolen and crickets. Nobody's out there. And people don't want to get involved because of it.
And correct me if I'm wrong, and I don't think I am. The mayor's race and the at-large council races come up at the same time as the race for governor, correct?
Absolutely, yeah.
So this is a big election. This is very big.
You know, in Atlantic City, it's strange, and this is why you don't want partisan elections in Atlantic City. The Republican vote doesn't matter when it comes to mayor, or it doesn't matter when it comes to council at large seats. It just doesn't matter. You take yourself out of the vote. And if it was a nonpartisan race, their votes would count here. And I always try and tutor Republicans. Listen, you should be Democrats. Vote in the Democratic primary and vote your heart in your general election. If you live in Atlantic City and you have to protect your dollars, your homes, your taxes, your schools.
Or Councilman, you go back to the future when the only reason it is a partisan form of government was there was such a desire to end Jim Whalen's time as mayor, and everybody knew he could not win in a partisan format because a lot of his support did come from Republicans, and he did have a second act and did have great success, winning the Assembly and Senate seats later, but the theory proved to be accurate, and I know I am responsible for some of it because I wanted him out as well and supported the change. But the change in retrospect was a mistake because look what has followed.
Well, I'm going to give you a yes and a no on that. I mean, could you imagine if they would have gave Mayor Langford a better chance? If they would have dealt with him with a better attitude instead of dealing with the guy, the guy that defeated Jim Whalen.
I hold him harmless.
They didn't give Rennie a fair chance.
He was a great mayor. Yep.
And what is time showing us? Time away is showing us that guys like Rennie Langford and Don Gordian were excellent mayors.
Yes, I agree with all that. We don't have a split decision at all. And I'm willing to have them, but we don't have one on that.
Yeah.
I'm speaking about what's followed since Mayor Langford.
A partisan election seemed to work if they would have gave Mayor Langford a chance and worked with him better. And, even with Don Gordian, that was a partisan thing, and Don still won. But, no, you're right. It's turned into a nightmare. It turned into voter suppression because people don't want to get involved. And when you tried to fix it, what did they say again? Race, race, race. It had nothing to do with race.
Well, let me back that up, Councilman. Councilman, let me back that up. You take a LaToya Dunstan. Look at the harassment that she takes.
Yeah. That's terrible what they do to her. It's sad that they could do that to another woman. Could you imagine if that was me doing that to her?
Oh,
could you imagine?
You'd be eviscerated.
It's crazy what that poor woman has gone through, the hurt that she has gone through. And she genuinely cares about the people of Atlantic City, especially those in need.
Yep. It's true.
Mental illness. I watch her out there with homeless people where me and her may not agree, but I am on certain things because I feel that they got to be sent back to where they came from. And all she cares about is helping them. And, I admire her, the way she helps people.
She really does. I'm not going to reveal, but might even surprise people, some of the people that she has been very helpful to, that some of the people within that own family have been very unkind to her, and she's been very compassionate and decent and, really very, very special in terms of what you just said. Let's get in one call before the break. You're on the air with Councilman Tibbet. Caller, go right ahead. You're on the air.
Hey, how you doing? My name's Gabriel. I used to live in Atlantic City way too long ago. And it's the people of Atlantic City, or I don't know, they're not naive, but I'm telling you, I can see the corruption. Why is that people cannot see it, the corruption? I went to apply for a job to Atlantic City. And, I'm Hispanic and I'm black. I can say that, But you have to be a black and a Muslim to apply to a city job right there. I guarantee you that. I can challenge anybody to correct me wrong. And you can see the corruption over there. And why they don't do nothing? That's their own people, Atlantic City. Why? Because they got benefits. Sadly enough, they're buying the boats, welfare, Section A, assisted living. It's laughable. But I don't know. Is something wrong to say the truth? That city is a shame. When you go to Ventnor and you go to Atlantic City, I can be with my eyes closed. I can feel the roads, the street. It's a shame. I'm embarrassed. Imagine, I got family to come here. I went to show Atlantic City. I'm embarrassed to show the city because it's iconic. Remember, Atlantic City is iconic city.
Oh,
the games, city. The beautiful architect buildings they are over there.
Well, all of it. First boardwalk in American history, first airport in American history, Steel Pier, where you weren't even a star until you played there. I'm speaking about the original Steel Pier. I could go on and on. There's no question. There was a time when there were dozens and dozens. I forget the number, but we wrote a very extensive digital piece on our app. The amount of movie theaters these were grand constructed theaters, all of them, beautiful, so much culture, so much entertainment, and something's got to be done. What could you submit to us right now? What could be done? Because we could point out all the problems. What are some of the solutions that could be done?
Before you talk, turn your radio off because it's blocking you out.
Well, the solution to me, you gotta teach children in the school the real history of your own country or your own city. Everything is black and white. I cannot say nothing to you because you're gonna call me racist. Wait a minute. First of all, you have to know how to do subtraction and addition, history, math, science. But it's like a brainwash people over there. And it's a corruption. I can go over there right now. I'm telling you. I can go right now to Atlantic City, apply for assisted living, and they're going to deny it to me. Or a food stamp, they're going to deny it to me. Or something assisted. But if I'm black and and Muslim, right away, it is a corruption system over there. But nobody want to see it. Is something wrong to say that? They're going to accuse me of racism. But sadly enough, they cannot accuse me to me because I'm Hispanic and I'm black. They cannot touch me. But imagine if a white person, because everything is black and white over there. And education, you got to start with the house, in the house with a family. They're happy because everybody is divided over there. Everybody is divided over there. And it's a shame, you can go to another cities or you can go to other countries. When you come to Atlantic City, I can see the corruption. You got 5-7 workers doing a little corruption in the road. You got 7 guys working on the road right there. Only one guy working. You go to the trash. It looks like a third world country. But you have to call the city, to call the city, to call the city, to call the office, to call the office, to call another office. It's a shame, It is a beautiful city. I'm so angry, I used to live in Atlantic City. But I say, you know what? They're not doing nothing. They're only taking my money.
Caller, hold on one second before you go. Councilman Tibbet, what do you think about what you've heard?
I'm glad to hear someone like him calling in and saying that because, we say this over and over again, and it's not because we don't love the city. No, it's because of the love that we do have for the city, and we see that the city is on life support. We see that so many people's jobs depend on our success here. Just last night, I went to dinner in Brigantine at a restaurant on the beach, a Thursday night. you couldn't get in. It was jam-packed. And that was a direct result of Safe and Clean. Our businesses are hurting because people don't feel safe and clean. It's that simple.
So, Councilman, let me ask you what I think is the $64,000 question. That's my homage to Ralph Cramden. He did well, but he didn't make it. He didn't know who wrote Swanee River. He thought it was Ed Norton. Is Atlantic City fixable?
Atlantic City is absolutely fixable. We're 48 blocks, 3 sides water. Absolutely, it's fixable. You got to have the stomach to do it, and you have to have your own money in the bank that you don't need handouts, and that you're not going to be persuaded by anybody, but to do the right thing for the great city of Atlantic City and the people in it. What they deserve.
To the caller, we've got to run in just a moment. I want to give you a chance to make a closing comment.
Please do.
Caller, do you have a closing comment?
Yeah, not under this administration. It's already a cancer. It's already too late. You have to fix. You have to follow the money and do a clean now. Not under the administration. Only you're going to throw money to resolve this problem. Not under this administration. It's a corruption that you can be the Democrat or Republican, not under administration or corruption.
Good to talk to you. I've got to jump. It's 23 minutes past the hour. Call me again sometime. I enjoyed your call and I enjoyed your participation. We're going to come right back with Councilman Tibbet. If you have a question, you can jump in, 609-407-1450. Much more important content. What I really love to do, it's really easy to point out the problems. I love it when we, and when I say we, I mean you, all of us, when we can point out solutions. I do agree with the caller. This administration has failed. You cannot be the problem and then also be the solution. So it is going to require, and I hate to say it because he's my friend, it's going to require a new governor. It's going to require, I believe, new oversight, and ultimately the true plan so that Atlantic City can get back to self-governance. I don't know what Councilman Tibbet thinks about that, but Atlantic City cannot be permanently under state takeover. I mean, at some point, that has to end. It cannot end with this administration. This administration is incompetent and has completely failed, now stands criminally charged. The first time ever that the two highest-ranking people in the executive branch of the city and the executive branch of the school system both stand seriously criminally charged at the exact same time. It's a horror show. It's a nightmare. And it will take regime change. It really will. And I think Atlantic City wants, if you polled Atlantic City wants change in the leadership. I have no qualms saying that. I believe that. And it better happen next year. Or, as George said earlier, then you get what you deserve. I think it was George that said it. I know I've said it before. There's an expression, we get the government that we deserve. We'll be back.
You're waking up with Hurley in the morning.
Egg Harbor Township, Ocean City, Brigantine,
Mays Landing.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5 and the WPG Talk Radio app. WPG Talk Radio 95.5. You're listening to Hurley in the morning.
It's a source I can trust.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank God for that. True statement right there, and we thank you for that. This is Harry Hurley asking you to join my friends at United Methodist Communities at the Shores in Ocean City for a spring market. Fast approaching. I can't believe it. I'm serious. By the time we get back on Monday, it's going to be near the middle of May. This is crazy what's happening. So you know Friday, May 24th is what I'm speaking about now. That's going to be here before you know it. We're going to blink, and that's going to happen. So Friday, May 24th, from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m., you can browse booths and a variety of crafts and merchandise and enter a floral wreath contest, enjoy free ice cream, live music from Ralph Michaels' Sounds of Sinatra. If you're considering senior living options for yourself or a loved one, I recommend United Methodist Communities at the Shores in Ocean City. It's fully remodeled with private apartments, 2 restaurants, a bistro, on-site fitness center, and the Tapestry's memory care residence. It's an amazing program. Best of all, it's just 3 blocks from the Ocean City Beach and Boardwalk. Celebrate the season at the Shore Spring Market with crafts, vendors, ice cream, and live music Friday, May 24th from 10 a.m. to 3 p.m. at the Shores, 2201 Bay Avenue in Ocean City. To learn more about United Methodist Communities at the Shores in Ocean City, simply call 609-399-8505. That's 609-399-8505. We are visiting with Atlantic City Councilman at Large George Tibbett. If you're just joining the discussion, I urge you, when we upload the podcast, please download it later today, because there was and there will continue to be this hour a lot of very important content relative to what's happening in Atlantic City, what needs to happen in Atlantic City. And George, with what I said right before the break, with the highest ranking executive branch employee, Marty Small, the highest ranking school employee, LaQuetta Small, as you know, local purpose tax, city purpose and school purpose tax combined to be about $500 million a year under the control of 2 people that are criminally charged at the moment. It's not a very good optic right now, Councilman.
No, it's not. It's a terrible optic. And what's even worse is that our police department is unfairly being questioned on if the mayor controls them or not, when the mayor does not control them. We have a lot of great people and good leaders, but perception's 90% of the sale, right? So, that's the way it's.
And by the way, Small's out there telling people he controls it. So there's a reason that they feel that way.
And I'm trying to be kind to the hardworking men and women that put it on the line every day out there. But
Absolutely.
there's some self-infliction here as well. But, Harry, I heard what you said. It's very easy to get on here and complain about how bad things are without a plan. Well, the very first thing my plan would be to sit my police officers down, my leadership. I realize that our Atlantic City Police Department has been depleted. Morale is not very good at all. Something as simple as taking away the sick time, use it or lose it, leaves us short of manpower because nobody's going to lose their time. They're going to use it. But I know we're depleted on guys in certain units. And the very first thing that has to happen in Atlantic City is we have got to attack the drug sales in Atlantic City. We know where these drug sales are. And if that means sitting down with all agencies that are involved with the state that can come into Atlantic City and work together with Atlantic City Police to do this, then that's something that we have to do. In cities that have turned it around and have shown to turn it around, I'm going to use Miami as an example. You have the Miami Police Department, the Metro-Dade Sheriff's Department, the Miami Beach, and the county police all working together there. And it helps. You've seen what happened in Paradise Lost in the 80s. They got it under control. Atlantic City is nothing like that. We're 48 blocks. It can be done with a joint effort. You have to start arresting people coming in, participating in prostitution, buying drugs, seizing the cars like the laws allow, posting these people's pictures up there as if they won the lottery, and put a message out there. You come to Atlantic City to commit crimes like that of moral turpitude, especially when you get to dealing with drugs, people that are addicted to drugs being forced into prostitution. We have to attack those 2 things first. Then you have to move on to the Greyhound therapy of sending people that are mentally ill, addicted to drugs, and not stable, sending them from your communities to Atlantic City. We have to get them out of Atlantic City and back to their homes, to the people that they come from, to help them and to look after them. Because no way would you want your child, if your child had some type of substance abuse or mental illness, would you want them roaming the streets of Atlantic City? The amount of people that are found dead from overdose should be shown more to show how bad it is. You send somebody to Atlantic City, you're basically giving them a death sentence. Wow. LaToya Dunstan and I met with quite a few people from the encampment, and one of the questions that we asked them was, why do you come to Atlantic City? Of all places, why Atlantic City? And they say the easy availability of drugs.
Wow.
The easy availability of food, shelter, and all type resources. But the number one thing was the availability to get their drugs to feed their addiction.
George, you raised something. You raised something very important there, and it makes me think about something I know I've heard you talk about before on this program, and you've done so throughout the community, where everything gets dumped on Atlantic City. When you talked about, hey, okay, needle exchange is good for us. Well, then let's this week it's here. Next week it'll be in Ventnor or Margate or Longport or Brigantine. But yet they have it only in Atlantic City. So Atlantic City gets, I hate to use this term, especially when we're talking about human beings, but Atlantic City has been allowed to become a dumping ground. The Greyhound therapy that you commented on, one-way bus tickets, because the social services, are so good here, and so on. There has to be. I know this word equity gets misused. I don't mean it like DEI, but there has to be equity here, Councilman. You can't have everything. I will tell you that Pinelands, when it was formed, was to basically ruin 3 communities so that 20 would not be impacted. So Egg Harbor Township, Galloway Township, Hamilton Township were called growth districts. And the idea was to pound them with density so that it didn't, spill into all the other 20 municipalities. I never agreed with that theory. That's terrible, that kind of thing. And Atlantic City has been the one chosen to where people from all over the state, as you know, George, even outside of the state, they get sent to Atlantic City.
Well, you have the mayor of Philadelphia right now. She's made a pledge to clean Kensington, and she's doing a hell of a job. She's there every day and moving them out, moving them into different parts, getting them into therapy, and start questioning the people, the new ones that you see in Atlantic City. Where are they from? They came from Kensington.
Wow. My grandfather grew up in Kensington, East Gordon Street. I should correct that. He didn't grow up there, but as an adult, he lived there. He lived right near the L. I know the area very, very well, and boy, did it change. That's all I can tell you. It changed dramatically. Final break. No, I take that back. Middle break. We have one more. Back with Councilman George Tibbett on the Hurley in the Morning program right after this.
Sean Hannity.
Look at the price of everything. Eggs, what you were paying in 2020, you're almost paying double. If you like frozen pizza, even that's a massive percentage. Butter and potato chips and cereal and milk, just the basics. What you could buy 4 years ago versus what you can buy today is 36% less. It's unreal.
Sean Hannity on South Jersey's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the Morning on South Jersey's talk station, WPG Talk Radio 95.5. Starting your day the right way with Hurley in the Morning.
It's a refreshing drive to work in the morning.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
We're back. It's 39 minutes past the hour. We're visiting with Atlantic City Councilman George Tibbett. President Trump spoke just a little bit ago from the courtroom. It's incredible. They've tried to get this Mark Pomeran to be a witness, and Judge Merchan denies it. He lets a porn star who has no relevance to the case whatsoever, zero connection to whether President Trump approved the falsification of business records to further another crime. None of that's even true anyhow. But they let a porn star testify about paranormal activity, condoms, silky drawers, you name it. She says she can talk to dead people. But here's Mark Pomeran, who tried to charge Trump and quit because they wouldn't charge Trump. Quit his job and said, I'm willing to do it for free. They won't let him be a witness. I mean, this is awful stuff. 609-407-1450 if you have a question or a comment for the topic, or a question or a comment for Atlantic City Councilman at Large George Tibbett. And we're going to go to the phone lines and welcome Maria Lacca to the program. Maria, welcome. Hey. For those who don't know, Maria came just about as close as you can to winning a 4-year council term and falling just short. And Maria, I know you still believe you won.
Yeah. So, well, I did. Looking at the list of people that voted, there was a lot of fraudulent votes of people that do live in Egg Harbor Township voting in Atlantic City. So, yeah. So that's disappointing. But the reason why I was calling in, Harry, is Atlantic City is phenomenal. It's one of the gem cities in the USA, and there's no reason why it should be looking like it does. So one of the reasons why you were saying, how could we fix it?
Yes.
It starts from getting the right people in council. It's just one of the situations that we need to change Atlantic City. We have people that are sitting on that council that don't know what they're doing, that are fraudulent, and that's part of the reason why Atlantic City does look the way it does.
Yeah.
They're not making the right decisions, and they got people in there that are just yes people. So where does the corruption start? It starts right there. Not to say that there's not other reasons. I mean, we have a Pacific Avenue that needs to be cleaned up. We have Atlantic Avenue that needs to be cleaned up. But there's no reason why, with all the money that comes into Atlantic City, there's no reason why it should look like this.
Agreed. I mean, hundreds of millions of dollars every year. But I guess when the priority is hiring your friends, your family, and everybody that you want, and you turn it into your own playground, your own personal employment agency, the priorities are just all wrong.
Absolutely. And that's where the corruption starts. You have the people sitting in council, not, of course, we do have the fighters like George Tibbett, LaToya, Jesse, thank God. We all have, right? We have those fighters, but we need to be the majority because look what happened.
And had you pulled it off and won, you would have had the majority on city council.
There you go. At least it would be a start. It's a beginning of changing Atlantic City.
The other problem is, though, even when there was a brief moment when there was a 5-4 majority that was not adverse to Marty Small and everything, but adverse to Marty Small where he was wrong. And then the state would just countermand, overturn, and give him whatever he wanted anyhow. So this requires a new governor. This requires new monitors, new, oversight at every level. And yes, it does involve regime change, new mayor, new majority of city council. There's a lot. And it's going to be tough, but there is a lot that has to be done here.
Correct. So hopefully this will be the year, when Jack Ciattarelli does become governor, because that's another big, like you mentioned, that's huge.
Well, you can shut them right down. They can't do anything. Literally, the state, they're in a takeover now. They have the best of all worlds. They get all the transitional aid. George, you gotta love this for the rest of your life. You get all the money and you still have all the power because they allow even a superintendent to remain in power. The state has refused George Tibbett to do its job.
That is mind-boggling to me.
Well, it's true.
As a resident, as a citizen, not even being involved in politics, but this is one of the reasons why I mean,
on day 2, oh, wait a minute, you didn't do that yesterday? On day 2, they should have taken care of the situation involving the superintendent. They've let it go on for a month. Maria, I've got to run. We're just short of time. I want to get in one more call. Then we have to get the final break in, and then we'll have a mini segment to close out with Councilman Tibbet. Caller, you're on the air. Go right ahead.
That's all right, Harry. Thanks.
Oh, you didn't call to speak? Okay. That's weird. 609-407-1450. Let me take the break on time. We're right at 45 minutes past the hour, just going away for a little over 2 minutes. Councilman Tibbet, the time is yours when we come back right after this. With Councilman George Tibbet, I am Hurley in the Morning.
Hurley in the Morning.
They stick to the facts.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5. WPGG Atlantic City. WENJ HD3 Millville. A Town Square media station.
Hey, if you want a firearm that is easy to transport, you got to check out the U.S. Survival Rifle from our friends at Henry Repeating Arms. Now, it is a portable rifle that you can put together, take apart in just minutes. And then when you're not using it, you can store the parts in the little case that it comes in. It's so small you can store it pretty much anywhere, and it's light enough to carry everywhere. Now, it comes in black and 2 different camo patterns, and you can pick one up for $300 to $400 depending on the finish. Check out their videos. Go to their website. It's one word, henryusa.com/survival. And while you're there, make sure you order their free catalog. Now, Henry makes more than 200 rifles and shotguns and revolvers, all made in America, all backed by a lifetime satisfaction guarantee and the best customer service in the business. Go to their website, henryusa.com. Get their free catalog. They'll send you free decals and a list of dealers where you are. That's henryusa.com. Free catalog decals for the Henry U.S. Survival Rifle.
You're listening to Hurley in the Morning.
Established, reputable.
WPG Talk Radio 95.5.
Thank you. Welcome back. 48 minutes past the hour. Atlantic City Councilman George Tibbet is our guest. We are going to go now uninterrupted until Brian Kilmeade, and he comes your way at 6 minutes past the top of the hour. Again, we wish all the great moms out there a very happy Mother's Day, the matriarchs that keep families together and make so many things happen. It's the role of a lifetime. Terrific. Councilman Tibbet, time is yours. What needs to be said that hasn't been said?
Well, Harry, to continue on it's very easy to say the negative stuff without a plan.
Yep.
To continue on, what my plan would be, second, I would address the problems on Atlantic and Pacific Avenue, especially go after the mini marts that are allowing the bad behavior, get them closed down, and let the other ones flourish the way they should. As far as keeping the streets clean, they'd be forced to keep in front, all the businesses on Atlantic Avenue be forced to keep in front of their stores cleaned at all times during the day. I would also petition the governor and our Senator Palestina to help do away with the luxury tax in any non-casino bar and restaurant in the small businesses in Atlantic City, as well as make them an urban enterprise zone for the small business of Atlantic City. If there's ever been a place that needs the urban enterprise zone sales tax reduction, drive down Atlantic Avenue and tell me what you think. You see our businesses are struggling right now because of the high cost of doing business makes their prices higher. Clearly, everything they get charged goes into the price of their product. The other thing is lower the cost of parking. Got to lower the cost of parking to get people to come to Atlantic City. You know, I could go to Ventnor, Margate, Longport, eat in their restaurants at a fraction of the soft cost, meaning, stuff that has nothing to do with the restaurant, what I got to pay just to park. You go offshore, there's plenty of free parking everywhere. We have to put the competitive edge back in Atlantic City. If you clean the streets up, deal with the drugs and crime that we have, that's a great start. Great start to fixing the city, because clean and safe is absolutely everything.
That is true, George. That's what everybody wants. You don't want to have to worry about, can I go there? I feel it's not safe. You just want that to be a given. Let me ask you this, George, in terms of what could be done. We hear these things, hey, there's 3,000 cameras and it's going to be the safest street in America, the safest city in America. I'm treating it like it's one big street. Is that true?
Well, if there's 3,000 cameras and almost nobody watching them, we'll go to 3,000 cameras. Oh, yeah, I could solve a crime. How about we start preventing crime?
That's a good point.
Put people up there ahead of time. You know, from day one, when that was being built, I always said it needs to be put. I fought this from day one, that those cameras, especially when we were in the Gene Robinson age of things, where cameras were being used for all the wrong things and politics using them cameras for all the wrong reasons, I always thought those cameras should have been put in a unit and managed by the state police, outsiders to manage that. You know, those cameras are amazing for solving crimes. We need more people, more hours when things are busy, not when people want to work, when they're needed to work.
Correct.
The busy, high crime times, you know, because Atlantic City Police, they are overworked on the street. The guys on the street are getting their butts handed to them. Who could take call after call after call? And God forbid they make a mistake.
Yeah.
People want to bury them and crucify them.
It's true.
They will make mistakes with the amount. Look at the amount of calls the other night. What was that, 150?
Yeah.
150 calls in one shift?
Yeah, that's
a lot of calls.
Yeah,
for the limited amount of men on the street.
It's true. I also think it is always not just Jim Sarkis. It's always been It's been a punishment in Atlantic City to be street patrol. But everywhere in America, street patrol is considered to be the backbone of the department. And there's never been enough people assigned to street patrol because in Atlantic City, and nobody supports the police more than I and more than George. I just love, them and what they do, but it's considered a punishment in Atlantic City if you're street patrol. It's almost like, what did you do? Who'd you get mad to do this? The culture has to change. They need more help, George.
Well, Harry, absolutely. And when you got ex-chiefs from small towns trying to implement their will and what they think a city like Atlantic City needs, I'm sorry, they're just looking at they're just budget crunchers trying to get success in numbers to look like heroes. When look at the city since you've been here.
Well, let me also point out, George. Let me point out something. And you've been chairman of the police and fire committees for a lot of years on city council. You've been a great friend to public safety, and everybody knows that matters. And I would say this respectfully: never before, and I think some of it was that public safety got hurt in collective bargaining. They were treated very unfairly by Chris Christie, very unfairly. And it's tough to come back from that because especially the firemen salaries that were dramatically decreased. It's just awful. But still, having said that, there has never been a time until now, and this has been going on for several years. It didn't just start, but a lot of it is during the small era, this mistaken accidency of a mayoralship, where Atlantic City police officers leave to go to other departments. I'll throw a few out by name. Cops in Atlantic City have left to go to EHT. Cops from Atlantic City have left to go to Camden. George, nobody, you were everywhere else trying to get into Atlantic City. Nobody ever left Atlantic City. They do now, George.
Yeah, it's been going on for a good 10 years now. What Chris Christie did, he's the biggest piece of garbage ever walked the planet Earth. What he has done to public employees,
terrible,
scapegoated them to be in the problem of the budgets when they're not the problem.
Well, he scapegoated them to run for president. He destroyed people's lives. He destroyed their COLA that they don't get. Imagine you're still earning the same exact paycheck that you got paid 15 and 20 years ago almost. It should be criminal. And, of course, he lied and said he wouldn't do it. And the next day after he got in, he did it. Oh, it's worse than I thought it was. Yeah, right. No, you're a liar. It wasn't any – you knew what it was. You did it to get in, and then you stuck it to them. He's awful what he did. The other thing was he was going to get rid of all these authorities, these wasteful authorities, and the only one he screwed was the best of them all. the Atlantic City Convention and Visitors Authority. They actually were getting it done. They were the only ones that got it in the neck. Not all the do-nothing ones and the patronage places where they send people. Oh, you've been in office for 20 years? Okay, we'll get you this job for 3 years. You know, you used to make, what, $15,000 a year? No, that's no problem. You make $150,000 now, and you'll do that for 3 years, and there's your pension, 66% of that, you know, for the rest of your life. I'm sick of these people, George.
Well, Harry, here's a staggering stat for you, though. You take a police officer or fireman that's making $100,000 a year. Right away, their salary is taken down to, before taxes, $78,000 when you take out their pension and their medical contribution.
Yeah.
They're at $78,000 before all the income tax, state income tax. They don't have the Social Security
That's
taken
correct.
out. So, you know, it's not the great job for the risk that you're required to take.
And they cut the numbers down so thin that it became stressful at that level. It became dangerous, actually. So, yeah, great damage was done to them.
Yeah, and Harry, you know, that's you have to build, again, safe and clean. And right now we're not safe, and what we have working is really overworked.
Let me ask you about the second thing, George. We have about 7 minutes or so. Clean. Because I don't want to put, Public Works down. You know, there have been times where I think Public Works has been phenomenal in Atlantic City. Is Atlantic City clean?
Harry, you can't blame Public Works one bit. Not one bit can you blame them. The people and the visitors are pigs. Public Works don't drive around and empty trash cans out on the street. Public Works don't drive down the street and throw stuff out the window. Public Works don't fill my beaches up with needles. But they're forced to clean them every day in and day out. And these needle exchange people say they don't do nothing to clean them needles out. They take the grant money, and our poor Public Works guys have to go out there and pick this stuff up. They got to pick pieces up from the people pooping in the clothes and leaving it all over. They got to pick the needles up. The people, they just don't clean up after themselves. You drive around and you watch people just throw the trash out on the street. You don't see this in Ventnor, Margate, and Longport. You watch the Special Improvement District go down Atlantic Avenue, clean it. By the time they make it to Albany, there's dirt and trash all over the place again.
Wow.
So, you know, you can't blame... Listen, we're going to blame the city when the city's wrong. But you can't blame Public Works when they're out there doing their job and we, the people and visitors, just treat the whole city as its personal trash can wherever they choose to throw something. I challenge everybody to drive around today and listen to what I said and pay attention today.
So since that is the reality, what's the solution? Because obviously just accepting that this is what it is, that's not a winning strategy. What can be done about this problem?
Look, start on Atlantic Avenue. When you have store owners that don't care enough to clean in front of their stores, we have to start finding them. Maybe it's an ordinance that has to come in. You are responsible for the front of your store. Some of the bodegos keep their places spotless. You have some that just don't care, and it looks like they just empty the trash can out in front of them,
wow.
Which then in turn go and clog the drains. And next thing you know, Public Works is getting screamed at because the drains are clogged and you got puddles all over the place after a storm.
Yep.
We have to take self-responsibility. And if these stores and certain people refuse to keep their places clean, then you got to hammer them, and you got to hammer them hard.
Councilman Tibbet, what can you tell your listeners about the road diet and Atlantic Avenue and what's going on with this?
That I know about as much as you do, that everything is being kept in the dark. We don't get the updates on them, and let's hope and pray that this thing never happens, because clearly it's not working from Tennessee Avenue down to the inlet.
And we're getting to the busy season, and I believe that what's been done already, that will really present itself as a problem.
Well, I'm hoping right now that we don't get, the rest of the people don't get sold out for Atlantic Care. Like if Atlantic Care gets what they want and it stops and it don't happen in front of them and then it opens up after them, we all have to stay in this thing together to the end and just face the fact that this is the wrong idea and the wrong thing to do on Atlantic Avenue.
Are you concerned that Small actually proceeded without having proper approvals, and that the city could be on the hook here?
What's going to happen to him?
Why? I'm asking you. He did things before there were the proper approvals, and even the money isn't in line.
The street's paved, and it's smooth.
Right, and somebody's got to get paid, and what does that do? Come from the general fund? I mean, what happens here?
Last I heard was, I think the governor gave an extra $10 million. I'll get that confirmed. They gave another money came in, and we voted for another grant, but I believe he may have went too fast on it before having the approvals. But you look at Mississippi to Brighton Avenue. You're going to sit up there and brag you have a $90 million surplus. $90 million surplus you're claiming that you overtaxed the people and took from them, and you're going to give them a 10-cent tax decrease?
Yeah, I wasn't impressed by any of that. I thought that he was so foolish saying something so exorbitant, but the people get back so little and bragging about how great he is. Let me ask you this, George, because it's going to be Memorial Day weekend before we know it, literally a couple weeks away. What kind of summer are you expecting for Atlantic City? Obviously, Atlantic City under the management of two seriously charged criminal defendants. Just a bad situation all the way around. I know the casinos will take care of business, and Atlantic City, has a tendency of, getting around anything that's negative, like what's going on with the two small leaders. But what are your thoughts about summer 2024?
Well, I'm hoping and praying that the casinos do the best job they ever done with entertainment and activities to get people here. Losing those concerts was huge to the city. Thank God that we saved that the air show was able to be saved. Another event on. Let's just hope we enforce the non-smoking of marijuana and cigarettes on the boardwalk, because that's been a major complaint with people not wanting to visit our boardwalk.
It's true.
And let's just hope that the mayor wisens up and understands that police and fire deserve the same raise as everybody else does. Why are they left out of that raise that everybody else is getting? Everybody else negotiated their contracts and had new contracts as well, and they're getting that raise.
And they had been hurt so bad previous to that. So, if you have this $90 million surplus and it's not a bunch of BS, you should start to make people whole again, because they got hurt very bad, as you know.
Yeah, Harry. And let me make you aware of something else.
Yep.
Do you realize the most prestigious job for a teenager being on the Atlantic City Beach Patrol? People will lie, cheat, and steal to become part of the Atlantic City Beach Patrol, and we're having problems getting kids to come down.
George, something's been going on for a while now. When I was a hotel casino executive, when I tell you the number of people that wanted their children, their college-age children, whatever it might be, for the summer to be valet parking attendants, they can't get people. Now you're talking about one of the most coveted, for generations, coveted positions to be a lifeguard. There's something to be said for this, George.
Yeah, it's fitting the role of everything else. This guy has hurt the reputation of the schools. He's hurt the reputation of the MUA. He's hurt the reputation of Atlantic City Housing, and he's totally destroyed the reputation of the city of Atlantic City. Can you say great day?
I can say great day, because I do believe you that even with all of that, and it's all true and it's all very, very disconcerting, I believe that what you say is true. A town of 48 blocks, covered by water on three sides, surrounded by water, rather, on three sides, is fixable. So as bad as he has run things, Atlantic City still has a comeback left in her.
Well, he's the mush.
Yeah.
Everything he touches turns to crap.
Yeah, it's tough. Councilman, the music says we have to go. Thank you.
Bye-bye. Happy Mother's Day.
Good appearance. Look forward to next time. That's Atlantic City Councilman at Large George Tibbett. I am Hurley in the morning, inviting you, of course, the rest of the lineup. Brian Kilmeade takes it from here. Weekends, a great Saturday live and local lineup. Tom P. at 5 a.m. You have John DeMasi from 9 to 12. And then Carmen Murata, Tony Mark Presents in the 12 noon to 1 p.m. hour. Of course, we'll be with 20 to 40,000 people in Wildwood for President Trump. Enjoy your weekend. Happy